Chapter 1435. With so many people rushing over, the first person Bailey June saw and asked about was Jiang Ji-won. However, everyone was only stunned for a moment. They exchanged tacit glances and quickly accepted the situation. It was like this in the past anyway. There was nothing strange about it. There were so many people in Yuntian Tower, and there was no lack of outstanding people among the younger generation. However, none of them could compare to Jiang Ji-won. He had personally raised her by his side, so she was naturally different from others. Jiang Ziyuan's tears, which she had been holding back for a long time, fell down like they were free. She was so happy that she felt wronged. She was really pitiful. If not for the messy wounds and bloodstains on her face, she would have looked even more pitiful. However, when Bailey June saw this, not only did he not despise her, but he felt even more distressed. "What's wrong? Yuan. Why are you crying?" He took another step forward and gently patted Jiang Ji-won's head. "Look, isn't Grandpa coming out in one piece?" In the entire Yuntian Tower, Jiang Ji-won was the only one who could call him Grandpa. "Grandpa Chun," Jiang Ji-won hurriedly wiped her tears, but she cried even harder. "I've made a fool of myself in front of you. What nonsense are you talking about?" Bailey June's heart ached when he saw this. He could not help but frown. He did not notice it before, but when he got closer, he realized that Jiang Ji-won's condition was really terrible. Her breathing was disordered, her body was covered in bruises, and her face was haggard. There were also shocking bloodstains on her body and face. This was definitely not because of the Tianlei power just now. As soon as he came out, he noticed that Jiang Ji-won was nearby and had been carefully watching over her. Logically speaking, she would at most be a little frightened. How could she possibly be so seriously injured? "You. What happened to you?" Bailey June's expression became serious. "Did someone bully you?" Jiang Ziyuan pursed her lips, wanting to say something but hesitating. No. But from Bailey Chun's point of view, it was clear that he was being bullied. Bailey Chun consoled her with a few words. "Don't worry, with Grandpa here, I definitely won't let you suffer the slightest grievance." After he finished speaking, he looked at respected elders Ming and the others. He suppressed the anger in his heart and asked, "What the hell is going on? Why was Jiang Ji-won at 10,000 Bell Mountain? How did the injuries on his body come about?" In his impression, the little girl was always lively and elegant, dignified and generous. When had she ever been in such a sorry state? 36 Respected Elder Ming sneered in his heart. The patriarch of the Yuntian Tower was also a weirdo. He had never married in his entire life and had no descendants. His personality was arrogant and stubborn. The Yuntian Tower had always been under the control of the Bailey clan. The Bailey clan master's clan was huge, and there were many branches under him. Who knew how many good seedlings there were? However, Bailey June's attitude towards them was always cold and strict. He only doted on Jiang Ji-won. When Jiang Ji-won came to the Yuntian Tower for the first time when she was a few years old, Bailey June took a liking to her and kept her. He personally taught her. He treated her as if she was his own granddaughter. Although Jiang Ji-won's background was slightly lower than the children of the Yuntian Tower, because of Bailey June's care, her treatment was comparable to that of the eldest daughter of the Yuntian Tower's first wife. And Jiang Ji-won herself had long been used to this feeling. She had always treated the Yuntian Tower as her home. She was not a member of the Bailey clan, but becoming a princess consort was excellent. Especially when she first saw Rong Xiu being brought back, she fell in love with that cold and arrogant young man. She had always thought that everything was rightfully hers. Therefore, when another woman appeared and took over the position of princess consort, snatching away everything that should have belonged to her, she became hysterical and full of resentment. It's a long story, 36 respected Elder Ming said calmly. Clan Master, let's head to the ethereal hall. Let's talk about it together. Put on. As soon as Jiang Ji1 walked into the hall, she immediately kneeled on the floor. Her eyes reddened once more. Yuan, what are you doing? Get up. Bailey Jun, who had just taken his seat, felt his heart ache when he saw this scene. All these years, Jiang Ji1 had never kneeled to anyone in the Yuntian Tower. How did it end up like this? However, Jiang Ji1 refused to get up. Instead, she cried, Grandpa Chen, Yuan is in the wrong. Please punish her. Seeing this, Bailey Chen could only suppress his emotions and ask anxiously, what's wrong? Jiang Ji1 looked up. In the surroundings, 36 respected Elder Ming, respected Elder Yu Jing, and the others were all gathered here, sitting on two sides. It wasn't convenient for her to say many things in front of these people. She could only say what she could say. Jiang Ji1's mind raced, and her expression became more and more sorrowful. Grandpa Chen, Yuan did something wrong and angered my master. He doesn't want me anymore. Bailey Jun was stunned. 36 respected Elder Ming kindly explained, she was expelled from Lingxiao College. The college didn't announce the reason, but this matter has already caused a huge commotion. The entire Divine Ruins world knows about it. She had utterly embarrassed herself. Jiang Ji1 clenched her fists in her sleeves, and her nails dug into her palms. She wanted to defend herself, but she couldn't say anything. He had no choice but to swallow his resentment. Bailey Jun frowned deeply, and he didn't say anything for a long time. He didn't expect this to happen. No matter how much he doted on Jiang Ji1, he had to admit that this matter was a huge stain on both her and the Yuntian Tower. After a long while, he took a deep breath and asked in a low voice, Your injuries, they were left behind when I went to the northern region of the primeval world. Jiang Ji1 lowered her head as she spoke. They're much better now. Grandpa Chen, you don't have to worry. Much better. Didn't that mean that her injuries were more serious before? Seeing her compromise, Bailey Chen's suspicions about her being expelled from the Spirit Firmament Academy disappeared like smoke in thin air. He had personally raised Yuan, and she had always been a good child. Moreover, didn't the elders of the college like her very much? There must be some misunderstanding. At the thought of this, Bailey Chen looked around. Where's Rongxiu? It's been so long. Why isn't he here yet? Even if he was the Holy Sun now, he shouldn't be so negligent. Jiang Ji1 wiped her tears and said timidly, Brother Rongxiu should still be in the college. It's normal that he can't come for a while. Don't be angry with him. She paused and lowered her eyes again. I don't know why Sister Princess Consort hasn't come yet. She should have come since you came out of seclusion, Princess Consort. What Princess Consort? Bailey Jun was confused. Jiang Ji1 smiled bitterly. Yes, you don't know. Brother Rongxiu, he has already chosen a Princess Consort, and now he's living in the sacrificial god hall, bang. Bailey Jun was furious. He slammed the table and rose to his feet. How dare he? Jiang Ji1 had already been chosen as the princess consort, but now Rongxiu was replaced by someone else. What was he trying to do? Princess consort. How majestic. Guards. Call that woman over. Digression. I'll continue at 6:00 mobile users. Please browse for a better reading experience from Iowa. Chapter 1436. 36 Respected Elder Ming said casually, Patriarch, the princess is currently cultivating in seclusion in the sacrificial god temple. I'm afraid it's not good to rashly invite her, right? What if it delays her cultivation? This sentence made the servant who was about to rush out stop in his tracks. He stood in place and paced back and forth. On one side was the patriarch, and on the other side was the leader of the elders. Who should he listen to? Normally speaking, he should listen to the patriarch. However, the patriarch had been in seclusion for the past few years and had never come out. Many things were handled by His Highness the Holy Sun and 36 respected Elder Ming. Now that His Highness the Holy Sun was not around, 36 respected Elder Ming represented this force. Even the patriarch had to be courteous. When Bailey June saw this scene, he was so angry that he laughed. How many years had it been? It turned out that the Yuntian Tower had already changed. What, don't you understand this patriarch's words? Bailey June said gloomily and sternly. The two words, patriarch, in the middle were heavily emphasized. The servant's face turned pale and his body trembled. Just as he was about to leave, he was stopped by 36 respected Elder Ming. His Highness the Holy Sun has already ordered that without permission, no one is allowed to approach the sacrificial god temple and disturb the princess. What, have you all forgotten His Highness's orders? When 36 respected Elder Ming spoke, he did not look at Bailey June. His eyes were filled with deterrence. He only swept his gaze across the servants, which was enough to make them tremble with fear. At the same time, he also struck back at Bailey June from the side. The patriarch's identity was noble and unparalleled, but don't forget who was in charge of the Yuntian Tower now. Moreover, the sacrificial god temple had always been the Holy Sun's territory. Even if the patriarch wanted to interfere, he had to think twice. This subordinate does not dare. When the servants who were ready to make a move heard the words, Holy Sun, they were filled with reverence and fear. They all retreated and stood in their positions obediently. Bailey June was stunned for a moment. What was this situation? He was the patriarch and had commanded the Yuntian Tower for several years. Now, he could not even order a person to move. 36 respected Elder Ming touched the teacup and felt a little bored. Things have changed with the passage of time. Do you still think that I'm the number one person who means what I say in the past? If that was the case, then wouldn't they and His Highness have been working for nothing these past few years? The hall fell into a dead silence. Jiang Jiwon didn't expect this either. She originally thought that after the clan leader came out, he would be able to support her and help her repay the humiliation she had suffered. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Yuntian Tower, his master had already changed. Even Honorable Elder Yu Jing and the others had a hesitant look on their faces and did not say anything. It was unknown whether it was because he didn't want to offend 36 revered Elder Ming or because he didn't want His Highness, the Saint, to settle scores with him in the future. Only then did Ming 36 raise his head in satisfaction and smile warmly. Clan leader, actually, Princess Consort has always been dignified and sensible, and her etiquette is thorough. The reason why she didn't make it in time today must be because she was still concentrating on her cultivation. Otherwise, if she knew that you'd come out of your closed-door cultivation, she would definitely have come to welcome you. Why wouldn't she come? All the important people of Yuntian Tower are here, but she's the only one who didn't come. Who would be so stupid as to cause trouble for herself? There must be a reason. Bailey June sneered disdainfully. Closed-door cultivation. Cultivation. Could it be that she's a peerless genius and can't even waste this little bit of time? There was no lack of sarcasm in his words. 36 respected Elder Ming laughed out loud, and his expression was bright. Clan leader is wise. How do you know that our princess consort is a peerless genius? Back then, when the Wuji Divine Dial tested her bloodline power, it reached the same level as His Highness, 11. The smile on Bailey June's face suddenly froze. 11. The Wuji Divine Dial tested her bloodline power? That's right. Since she's the princess consort, she must pass this test. How could it be so high? For a moment, countless thoughts flashed through Bailey June's mind. The expression that was originally full of sarcasm and ridicule seemed to have frozen. Is this true? That woman, what is her background? The result of the test is really 11. One had to know that in a huge family system like the Yuntian Tower, there was only one 11th genius like Rong Xiao in 1,000 years. How could this woman who suddenly appeared so coincidentally be 11 as well? Jiang Jiwan's voice lowered as she clenched her fists. Sister Princess Consort tested it in front of everyone. The Wuji Divine Dial did indeed appear as 11. Although she's an outsider, such talent is still something that we can't. Wait. Bailey June suddenly interrupted her, almost in disbelief. Outsider? You mean, she's an outsider? How can this be? Bailey June was about to go crazy. Rong Xiao is really messing around. The Yuntian Tower was a first-rate family in the Divine Ruins world. To be able to sit on the position of Princess Consort, even if they didn't completely match, they should at least have a good background, right? In the end, she was actually an outsider. Isn't this a complete disgrace to me, Yuntian K? No way. I will never agree to this. 36 Respected Elder Ming dug his ears. He wasn't so angry, and even wanted to laugh. Clan leader, are you serious? This princess consort has talent that doesn't lose to His Highness. In the future, her future will be limitless. If this news spreads, who knows how many families and clans will be envious. Why is it embarrassing when it comes to you? Bailey June was speechless for a moment, and his expression changed. This was indeed something that couldn't be refuted. On the other hand, Jiang Jiwan, 36 Respected Elder Ming raised his chin and snorted. She was expelled from Lingxiao College, pursued by the Liang family. She caused a lot of trouble, and in the end, we have to clean up the mess. This is embarrassing, right? After so many years, this was the first time that someone from the Yuntian Tower was publicly expelled from Lingxiao College. Bailey June's heart choked. Do you know that because we allowed her to return to the Yuntian Tower and covered up for her, our Yuntian Tower's reputation plummeted? Clan leader, do you want to hear how the people outside are ridiculing us? Bailey June was so angry that his face turned green. Enough. Jiang Jiwan sobbed softly. It's all my fault. Bailey June sat back down in frustration. That so-called princess consort, why did she have to be such a top-notch genius? So much so that he didn't even have a reason to find trouble with her. In the world of God, at any time, one's own strength was the best defense. Also, Jiang Jiwan, if I remember correctly, the princess consort is only 17 years old this year. She's younger than you by a few years. This old man thinks that you don't have to continue calling her sister anymore, right? 36 Respected Elder Ming reminded in a leisurely manner. Jiang Jiwan felt as if she had been ruthlessly slapped a few times. She didn't even have the mood to cry anymore. She just wanted to disappear from this place immediately. She didn't understand. The clan leader had already come out of seclusion. Logically speaking, it was her turn to make a comeback, but why? Why was everything wrong? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1437. Jiang Jiwan still did not understand. Yuntian Tower had undergone earth-shaking changes in the past few years. Rong Xiao held great power and was highly respected. Even though the clan leader had come out of seclusion, he was no longer as powerful as before. Now, Rong Xiao was the top person here with the most authority. Sheng Guanyu was the princess consort that he had personally chosen. Even if these people did not respect him, they had to respect him, right? Not to mention, Sheng Guanyu's talent was amazing. Only someone with a screw loose would want to go against them. Bailey June looked at the scene in front of him and realized in hindsight. After he understood, he gritted his teeth. When he was in seclusion, he had thought about these problems. However, at that time, Rong Xiao was still young and inexperienced. He did not take him seriously at all. Who knew that in just a few years, everything would change? How could it be so easy to take back the country that he had lost? After a short silence, Bailey June took a deep breath and finally said, Yuan Yuan is the legitimate daughter of the immortal water tomb. Can Yuntian Tower really sit by and do nothing when she is in trouble? Besides, she is already here. What's the point of talking about this? Everyone silently exchanged glances, all of them revealing meaningful expressions. Look. He was still protecting her. They did not know what kind of destiny Jiang Jiwan had to be protected by the clan leader. However, if Jiang Jiwan continued to be tormented like this, even Yuntian Tower would not be able to protect her. 36 Ming could not be bothered to continue discussing Jiang Jiwan's matter with him. Since the clan leader insists, then let's forget about this matter for now. We will wait for His Highness the Holy Sun to come back and make a decision. According to Rong Xiao's character, he might not be able to tolerate Jiang Jiwan. Bailey June's lips moved, but he swallowed the rebuttal that was at the back of his throat. After a moment, he calmed down and stood up. Since the princess consort is so busy, I will go and see her personally. 36 respected Elder Ming's eyes flashed with a hint of fierceness. He also stood up and calmly blocked Bailey Chun's path. With a faint smile, he said, Don't worry. Patriarch, I'm afraid, this isn't too appropriate, right? You are an elder, and she is a junior. No matter what, she should be the one to meet you. If word of this gets out, won't people say that our Yuntian Tower's princess consort doesn't know etiquette? Without a doubt, there would be another wave of curses when the time came. Besides, even if he went to the sacrificial god temple now, he wouldn't be able to see it. Bailey June paused and looked at him suspiciously. He didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but he always felt that 36 revered Elder Ming seemed to be stopping him, not wanting him to go to the sacrificial god hall, and even more not wanting him to see the new princess. Could it be that there was something fishy about this? Jiang Jiwan stopped crying. She got up and wiped her tears. Then she walked to Bailey June with red eyes. Grandpa Chun, you have just come out of seclusion today. You must have a lot of things to do. Let's put this matter on hold for now. She paused for a moment. Ever since she became the princess consort, she has been staying in the sacrificial god hall and hasn't come out much. She must be busy with her cultivation and breakthrough, right? No matter how diligent she is in her cultivation, she can't do it like this. She doesn't even have the time to come out and meet someone. Bailey June harumphed coldly. Yuan, this matter has nothing to do with you. You don't have to get involved. This old man wants to see how difficult it is to meet this princess consort. As he spoke, he flung his sleeves and strode forward like a shooting star. 36 revered Elder Ming couldn't stop him anymore. After pondering for a moment, he followed after him. There were quite a few people behind him. Out of various thoughts, they quietly followed after him. After walking out of the ethereal hall, Bailey June looked up. The sacrificial god hall stood at the peak of Upsetting Peak. A powerful barrier shrouded it. From here, one could only see the white mist drifting gently. As for the specific scenery, one couldn't see it clearly. Jiang Jiwan stood behind him. Looking at the palace above, she gritted her teeth. In the past, she had always been able to enter and exit the sacrificial god hall as she pleased. But now, she had fallen into such a situation. Without saying a word, Bailey June flew up. 36 revered Elder Ming's heart felt as if it was being gripped tightly by something. Bailey June was the clan head. Even though he didn't have any actual authority now, he was still the most respected person in the Yuntian Tower in name. He had the authority to enter the sacrificial god hall directly. If he were to discover that the person he was looking for wasn't in the fuselage hall, then, wouldn't all the hard work he had put in during this period go to waste? However, if he were to step forward to stop him, it would be too obvious. There was no guarantee that he wouldn't attract attention. 36 Revered Elder Ming held his breath as he stared intently above. Bailey June's speed was very fast. In just a few breaths' time, he arrived before the sacrificial god hall's independent barrier. Several heavily armored soldiers looked over and bowed respectfully. Greetings to the clan head. Bailey June nodded. He knew that these people were Rongxiu's most trusted aides. Since he had no intention to argue with them, he went straight to the point. Is the princess here? This old man wants to see her. Isn't this giving enough face? As long as it was someone with a brain and a face, they would be so embarrassed that they would panic. At this moment, a figure hurriedly rushed over from behind. Since the clan head has arrived, I hope that the clan head will forgive us for not being able to welcome you. Umo bowed respectfully with a smile on his face. Bailey June frowned, feeling somewhat dissatisfied in his heart. However, he also knew that these people from the sacrificial god hall would never get involved in matters outside of this place, so it wasn't good for him to get angry. Where's the princess? She can't still be cultivating in seclusion, right? Umo smiled. The clan head is wise. The princess is indeed on the verge of breaking through. I'm afraid it's inconvenient to disturb her. Bailey June had already expected this answer and was about to walk in. Then this old man will wait here. Whenever she's free, she can come out and meet me. The smile on Umo's face froze. This roar. A lion's roar that was filled with killing intent resounded through the heavens and earth. In the next moment, a vigorous white figure stepped on the air and came over. With a few flashes, it appeared in front of Bailey June. It was Xue Xue. It stood in front of the barrier and looked directly at Bailey Chen. Its icy blue eyes were filled with a cold and indifferent aura of disdain. Roar! It roared towards the sky. Waves of pressure. Bailey June's expression changed. This beast, did it not intend to let him in? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1438. Xue Xue snorted. Wasn't it obvious? Was there a need to ask? Seeing Xue Xue's arrival, Umo heaved a sigh of relief. However, he still had to put on an act. Xue Xue, the clan head is going to enter the sacrificial god hall and wait for the princess consort. Don't cause trouble. Xue Xue licked its claws, revealing its white teeth. Its expression was indifferent, as though it had turned a deaf ear to all of this. Clearly, this time, it was determined to block the entrance. Bailey June felt that this was ridiculous. He was the clan head of the Yuntian Tower, and he could freely enter the sacrificial god hall. But now, he was actually blocked by a beast. This was the biggest joke in the world. Thinking quickly, Bailey Chun's eyes turned cold. Anyone could tell whose intention this was. It was obvious that Rongxiu didn't want him to enter. Furthermore, it was done so openly. Openly. There were so many people watching below. Rongxiu's actions didn't leave him any face at all. Move aside. Bailey June reprimanded with a dark expression. Xue Xue stretched its back and glanced at Bailey June casually. It didn't move. Its intention couldn't be any clearer. Umo rushed forward with a troubled expression. He looked at Xue Xue and then at Bailey June, clan head, this. You know that Xue Xue has always been stubborn and won't listen to anyone. This little one apologizes to you first. Why don't you come another day? Today is the day that you came out of seclusion, and it should be a celebration. Don't be unhappy because of such a small matter. Umo said sincerely. Even if he didn't consider them, he should consider the group of people who were looking at them in the square below. Did he still want his face? If they fell out, it wouldn't be beneficial to anyone. Bailey June naturally didn't want to make a scene. What was the point of arguing with a beast? However, it was too difficult for him to vent his anger. Clan head, why do you have to be so calculative with Shue Shue? 36 Respected Elder Ming heaved a sigh of relief. He slowly walked over and spoke with a smile. Her Highness is in the sacrificial god temple, do you think she can run away? If you want to meet him, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. You've been in seclusion for a few years. Now that you've finally come out, it's indeed a joyous occasion. Umo was right. No matter what, they had to celebrate. How about we tell you about the situation of the Divine Ruins world and the Yuntian Tower over the past few years, and then let our subordinates prepare. He personally spoke in a sincere tone, which was equivalent to giving Bailey June a way out. Bailey June wavered when he heard the last sentence. In this short period of time, he had indeed discovered that the Yuntian Tower had undergone tremendous changes. He urgently wanted to understand the situation so that he could have a better understanding of the situation. His Highness, the Chosen Saint, has not been around recently, so there are many things that you have to decide on. 36 Revered Elder Ming's smile was genuine. Bailey June's heart calmed down, and the expression on his face finally improved. Then, let's deal with these things first. As for... He glanced at the sacrificial god temple. We'll talk about the rest another day. He didn't believe that this Shangwan Yu could be so arrogant for so long. Seeing them return, Jiang Ji-won gritted her teeth. They were already at the door. They couldn't even enter. There must be something wrong with that Shangwan Yu. At this moment, someone flew over from afar. Miss Jiang, there's a letter from the Immortal Water Tomb. Lingxiao College. Pengmin Mountain. Chu Luiyue was sitting on the Millennium Frost Jade bed, quietly and seriously flipping through the medical books in her hands. A strange fluctuation suddenly came from outside. Elder Meng. Elder Meng. Chu Luiyue recognized this anxious voice. It was Elder Wensi. Why was he here? Chu Luiyue was curious. She was about to get up and take a look, but suddenly remembered that she was locked up here. It didn't seem right to rashly go out now. Thus, she obediently sat back down. Rong Xiao happened to come down from upstairs at this time. Hearing the footsteps, she looked back. The two of them looked at each other. Chu Luiyue carefully sized up Rong Xiao and didn't find anything unusual. She was slightly relieved and pointed outside. Elder Wensi is here. He seems to be looking for Elder Meng for something urgent. Rong Xiao walked to her side and smiled. Don't worry, Elder Meng will take care of it. Chu Luiyue nodded. Sure enough, Elder Meng's voice came from upstairs. Wensi, what's the hurry? Let me in first. I have to talk to you in person. Hearing that the voice was a little off, Elder Meng opened the barrier and let Elder Wensi in. Elder Wensi's footsteps were hurried, his expression anxious. Elder Meng. Bad news. He walked into the hall on the first floor and searched around, but suddenly his footsteps stopped. Where's Chu Yu? At this time, Elder Meng's figure flashed and appeared in front of Elder Wensi. He went to rest by himself and is not here at this time. What do you have to say? Say it. Elder Wensi hammered his palm. Sigh. This kid is in big trouble. Hearing this, Chu Liuyue's brows moved slightly. Rong Xiao looked back and looked down. Why do you suddenly say that? Elder Meng was a little surprised. Recently, that kid has been fine with this old man and hasn't done anything. It's the northern land of chaos. Elder Wency's brows were tightly knitted. I don't know who spread the news outside, saying that the matter of the northern land of chaos was done by Chu Yu and the Black Demon sect together. They also said that the real Heavenly Square sacred cauldron has long been with Chu Yu. Everything is just a conspiracy between him and the Black Demon sect. This news has spread like wildfire outside, and now all the major clans and families are asking for a thorough investigation of Chu Yu. Digression: recently, several friends have fallen ill, or their family members have fallen ill, and I'm very emotional. People are very fragile, everyone must be healthy and happy. Mobile users, please browse and read, a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1439. Chu Liuyue's heart suddenly tightened. Rong Xiao turned around and shook his head at her, indicating for her to calm down. The voices continued to come from downstairs. What's going on? Elder Meng was also stunned by the news, but his first reaction was disbelief. Chu Yu is Rong Xiao's man, how could he have any connection with the Black Demon Cave? Moreover, the Heavenly Square Cauldron is one of the 10 great sacred artifacts, and it has been lost for thousands of years without a trace. Why is it suddenly said that Chu Yu has it? Such a treasure was with that stinky brat, who would believe it? I don't believe it either. But this news has already spread outside. We can't just ignore it. Elder Wency was also very anxious. This time, they didn't come in person, and they all changed to letters, but the wording was strict and their attitude was clear. Now that Bo Yan is dealing with this matter, he asked me to come over and check on Chu Yu's situation. No matter what, they couldn't avoid it this time. The Black Demon Cave's status in the Divine Ruins world was not low, but their reputation was terrible. This was because their cultivation method was extremely evil and tyrannical. Furthermore, most of the people in their sect were also vicious. Their methods were cruel. The other families and sects in the Divine Ruins world rarely interacted with them. Many of them had deep enmity with them. It was a pity that the Black Demon Cave's strength was tyrannical, and they were not to be trifled with, so until now, the best choice was to stay away from them. Now that Chu Yu's name was connected to the Black Demon Cave, how could they not care? If it weren't for the fact that Elder Bo Yan and Rong Xiao had solemnly warned them and had more concerns, they would have directly charged over. Needless to say, the rumor also said that the Heavenly Square Cauldron was already with Chu Yu. If it was an ordinary treasure, it would be fine, but this was one of the 10 great sacred artifacts. In the Divine Ruins world, there were a few families that had the 10 great sacred artifacts, and they had more confidence than others. It was not an exaggeration to say that such a treasure was enough to directly promote a second-rate family to a first-rate one. And it was the kind that had a high status and a lot of power. Who wouldn't be tempted? Within the Divine Ruins world, aristocratic families and clans stood in great numbers. Wanting to occupy a place in this intense competition was simply as difficult as ascending to the heavens. But if he had the 10 great sacred artifacts, all of this would be easily solved. Therefore, this time, it wasn't just the first-rate aristocratic families who sent letters to question him. Even some second-rate aristocratic families began to secretly make moves. The situation was urgent, otherwise, Elder Wency would not have rushed in like this. Elder Meng, this matter is of great importance. Chu Yu will not be able to avoid it no matter what. Bo Yan asked me to take a look. How is his body recovering? If you've recovered, we'll go over and discuss how to deal with this matter. Elder Wency finally revealed the purpose of this trip. Elder Meng furrowed his brows and looked solemn. Since it involved the Black Demon Cave and the Heavenly Square Cauldron, it was indeed troublesome. But Chu Yu had just failed to break through to the middle stage of the 9th stage a few days ago. Now was the crucial time to recuperate his body. How could he go out like this? Wasn't this taking his body and future as a joke? Chu Yu. There are still some things that I need to take care of. Can Bo Yen wait a little longer? Elder Wensi asked. Then. How long will it take? Half a month, no, 10 days. Elder Mang said with some uncertainty. In fact, in this situation, if it was an ordinary cultivator, they wouldn't be able to recover without 2 or 3 months. Fortunately, Chu Yu's physique was better, and Rong Xiao had rushed over in time, and had been helping from behind, which allowed Chu Yu to recover so quickly. But no matter how fast it was, it would still take a certain amount of time. Elder Wensi smiled bitterly and awkwardly. 10 days. Do you think that's possible? Those people wanted nothing more than to rush over again and take Chu Yu away. Waiting for Elder Bo Yan's reply was the only concession they were willing to make. How could they be willing to wait for 10 days for nothing? Even if it was 5 days, they would still be very anxious. What can we do? How far do these people want to push Chu Yu? He's only 17 years old. Elder Mang was also furious. Although every time Chu Yu came in, he would act very impatient, but in reality, he liked this child in his heart. Pengmin Mountain's position was special. For a long time, he was the only one who had been silently guarding it. Loneliness, coldness, and boredom. Occasionally, there would be some students who made mistakes and were locked up, but most of them were scared witless, their faces pale, and did not dare to say a word. When the punishment time was up, those bastards would run away faster than anyone else. But Chu Yu was different. He was talented, smart, and the most important thing was that he was lively and witty, very interesting. He said that he did not want to see him, but in fact, he still missed him a little. Now that he heard all these messy things, of course he could not help but speak up for Chu Yu. Chu Yu's failure to break through was already tragic enough, and now he was being splashed with dirty water for no reason. What was this? Elder Wensi laughed bitterly. They won't care about this. Last time, Bo Yen and Rong Xiao stepped in and barely protected him, but at that time, although everyone had their suspicions, no one had any evidence, so they compromised. Do you think that this time they will be sent away so easily? Even if one used their toes to think, they would not. With their own interests mixed in, who would be able to watch from the sidelines? Elder Meng's chest seemed to be on fire, as if it was going to rush out in the next moment. Elder Meng. A clear and calm voice came from upstairs. Both Elder Meng and Elder Wensi were shocked and looked up at the same time. Chu Yu. Elder Wensi opened his mouth. Why was he on the second floor? And the one next to him, isn't that Rong Xiao? He's actually here too. Elder Wensi, I'll go with you. Chu Luiyue said with a calm expression. No. Elder Meng immediately objected and frowned. Your body, you have to stay here and recuperate for a while. If he went over now, who knew what would happen? If they made trouble again, with Chu Yu's small body, could he withstand it? Chu Luiyue smiled, and a trace of gratitude to Elder Meng emerged in her heart. She knew that Elder Meng was thinking for her, but things had already gotten to this point, there was no point in hiding anymore. They had already stepped on top of her head, and she still had to endure. No matter what the consideration was, Chu Luiyue knew that she had to come forward. She walked down the stairs, and Rong Xiao was one step behind her and followed her down. Thank you for your kindness, Elder Meng, but this matter started because of me, so I should face it personally. Chu Luiyue curved her lips and smiled. Elder Meng, Elder Wensi, and Elder Zhang were a little stunned. The young man in front of them was clean and handsome, with a gentle smile, and no trace of nervousness could be seen. This kind of bearing, it really made people look at him in a new light. Elder Meng's heart wavered a little. Are you sure? Those people are not that easy to deal with. Chu Luiyue blinked. I have a clear conscience, so why should I be nervous and afraid of them? As she spoke, she looked at Elder Wensi. May I ask, Elder Wensi, do you know who spread this news? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1440. This was the question that Chu Luiyue wanted to know the most right now. Whether it was connecting her to the Black Demon Cave or revealing that the Heavenly Square Cauldron was with her, these things were all extremely secretive. All along, she had been very careful, afraid of revealing the slightest bit. Because she knew too well that if this news were to spread, it would bring her a lot of trouble. But she did not expect that no matter how careful she was, she would still be tricked. She thought that she had hidden it very well, but she did not know that she had been secretly targeted. Who was the other party? How much did they know? Chu Luiyue was not sure. She had too many secrets hidden in her body, and any one of them would cause a huge storm. And with her current strength, it would be very difficult to deal with these problems. Elder Wensi was stunned for a moment and shook his head. We don't know yet. It seems that in one night, those aristocratic families all knew. Bo Yan has already sent people to investigate, but it would be strange if they could find out. The other party obviously came prepared, so how could they make a mistake on such a small matter? Then someone sent the news to all these people at the same time. Chu Luiyue thought to herself. It's not impossible, no, it should be like this. Elder Wensi hesitated for a moment and agreed. The letters from these aristocratic families were sent almost at the same time. If they spread the news 1 to 2, 2 to 3, their reaction would not be so orderly and fast. But, who was it? Chu Luiyue smiled. The Divine Ruins world is vast, and all the aristocratic families have their own territories. They are all very far from each other, and it is not an easy thing to tell them all this news together. There was a hint of mockery in her black jade-like eyes. In order to deal with her, the other party had put in a lot of effort. You, Elder Meng's face was solemn as he listened, and the wrinkles on his face were all wrinkled together. Who did you offend? The other party wanted to spend so much effort to deal with him. Chu Luiyue touched her chin, then spread her hands and smiled. I have offended too many people, and now I can't think of who it is. Elder Meng and Elder Wen she looked at each other, speechless. According to Chu Yu's character, it was not impossible for him to do this, but how could this brat still laugh now? Did he know how serious this accusation was? No matter which one was proven to be true, even if he was framed, he would never be able to make a comeback. If any of those aristocratic families were to step on him, Chu Yu would be forever trapped in the 18th level of hell, unable to rise again. Even with the protection of Lingxiao College and Rongxiu, it was still useless. Chu Luiyue cupped his fists respectfully at Senior Meng. Thank you for taking care of me during this period of time, Senior Meng. This student is very grateful. Senior Meng knew that she had made up her mind. He looked at her with a complicated expression. Be careful. The corners of Chu Luiyue's mouth curled up. He nodded and then looked at Elder Wensi. Elder, let's go. How could Elder Wensi not feel uncomfortable in his heart? However, there was no other way now. He could only take one step at a time. He responded, bid farewell to Senior Meng, and then left with Chu Luiyue. Rongxiu followed. Elder Wensi glanced at him and did not object. Instead, he felt more at ease. It seemed that Rongxiu did not intend to sit back and do nothing. With the support of the Yuntian Tower, their situation would definitely be much better. It would more or less make those people feel a little wary. The few of them left quickly. The door slowly closed, isolating everything outside. There was silence all around. After a long time, Senior Meng sighed softly and turned to go upstairs. Chu Luiyue and Rongxiu followed Senior Meng to the Donghuang Bell Tower. This was not the first time Chu Luiyue had come. In the few months since she entered the academy, she had come more often than most of the students in the academy. Of course, nothing good happened every time. It was the same this time. In fact, it was even worse than before. The incident with Scarlet Heaven's sword was considered an internal matter of the academy. Considering that she was a student of the academy, the elders would not be too strict on her responsibility. Moreover, she had saved Rongxiu back then. She had made up for her mistakes with her merits, and the matter was over. But this time, with so many aristocratic families pressuring her from the outside, how could it be so easy to solve? Entering the hall, it was solemn. Senior Bo Yen sat at the head of the table, and on the left and right below him sat the elders with important positions in the academy. Senior Wanzheng was also among them. "They're here." Senior Mang Wenxi walked at the front and said as he walked in. Everyone looked over. Chu Luiyue immediately felt those gazes pressing down on her as if they were solid. In an instant, it seemed as if the surrounding air had become sticky and cold. Chu Luiyue's face was still calm. She walked straight to the middle and bowed to everyone. "Student Chu Yu greets the elders." Rongxiu stood beside her, less than half an arm's distance. Seeing that he had also followed over, Senior Bo Yen was a little surprised. He had just asked someone to invite Rongxiu over, but why did he come over with Senior Meng Wenxi and Chu Yu? As if seeing his doubts, Senior Meng Wenxi coughed and explained, "When I went to Mount Pingmin, I happened to meet Rongxiu there." Everyone then understood. There was nothing strange about this. Mount Pingmin, others could not go, but Rongxiu could. Senior Bo Yen nodded and pointed to a specially reserved empty seat beside Rongxiu. "It's good that you're here. Rongxiu, take a seat first." That seat was very close to Senior Bo Yen, and it could be seen how much he valued Rongxiu. Obviously, he did not treat Rongxiu as a student. Today, Rongxiu's identity was the Yuntian Tower's holy son. Rongxiu didn't reject the offer as he agreed and walked over with his long legs to take a seat. Senior Mang Wenxi looked at Chu Luiyue worriedly and also sat down in his seat. The door was already closed. In the spacious and noble hall, it was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. A layer of enchantment gently swayed on the wall, completely sealing off this place. All the sounds and movements here would not be transmitted out. "Chu Yu, did Wenxi explain the current situation to you clearly?" asked Elder Bo Yen in a low voice as he sat up straight and stared at Chu Luiyue with his deep and weathered eyes. Chu Luiyue nodded slightly. "I roughly know." "Then what do you have to say now?" Senior Bo Yen gripped the armrest of the chair tightly with one hand. "Are you related to the Black Demon Cave? Did you participate in the matter of the northern region of the primordial wilderness? Also, is the Heavenly Square Cauldron with you?" Straight to the point. A short and sharp question. In an instant, the originally quiet hall seemed to become even colder. Countless pairs of eyes fell on Chu Luiyue, waiting for her answer. Chu Luiyue smiled slightly. "I have nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave. I am also a victim of the matter of the northern region of the primordial wilderness. As for the Heavenly Square Cauldron, do you think that if I had one of the 10 great sacred artifacts with me, I would still be able to live safely until today?" Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1441. The young man's voice was clear and bright, his expression sincere. His pair of dark eyes were like black jade that had sunk into the river, covered with a layer of faint luster. When people looked at him, they could not help but be convinced by him. Everyone was stunned, then their minds were shaken. That's right. If Chu Yu really had a treasure on him, and everyone knew about it, how could he be so peaceful for such a long time? Anyone with a brain would take advantage of the fact that not many people knew about it to steal it, right? After all, Chuyu was only a 9th-level martial artist. If the other party really wanted to steal the treasure, there were many opportunities. Chuyu was not their opponent. But now, the news had spread everywhere. Everyone was restless and wanted to take a share of the loot. The person who spread the news behind the scenes was obviously targeting Chuyu. How could Chuyu be more attractive than the heavenly square cauldron? Wasn't it obvious that they were targeting Chuyu? Elder Bo Yen secretly heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Chuyu's situation was not like the rumors, things would be much easier. Otherwise, he really did not know how to clean up this mess. Now that the rumors are everywhere, and many aristocratic families and clans believe it, the situation is very unfavorable for you. Elder Bo Yen released his hand, his index finger tapping on the armrest. You have to think of a way to prove your innocence. This did not make sense. It was obvious that someone was deliberately splashing dirty water, but wanted Chuyu to prove his innocence. Everyone knew that these things were not easy to do. But there was no other way. These aristocratic families and clans had more or less lost some people in the northern wilderness. But they could not find the person behind the scenes, so they could not help but feel angry. Now that the rumors were everywhere, they naturally chose to unite and use Chu Luyue as a punching bag. Therefore, all the conflicts were directed at Chu Luyue. And Chu Luyue could only accept it. I know. Chu Luyue smiled. Previously, because of me, I caused a lot of trouble for the academy. I have not formally thanked and apologized to you and the elders. Who would have thought that something like this would happen again so soon? This student really feels apologetic. She said it very sincerely. Some of the elders who had planned to say it was sooner or later could only shut their mouths. In the end, Chuyu seemed to be quite innocent. Didn't he just follow them to the northern wilderness? Because his luck was good and he obtained some opportunities, he was targeted. What was wrong with that? Not to mention, he had helped Elder Hua Feng and the others a lot. On the academy's side, most of the people didn't have any opinions about him. This child's luck. Elder Bo Yen waved his hand. That matter, there's no need to mention it. You are a student of our Spirit Heaven Academy. At any time, no one is allowed to slander or bully you. Not to mention anything else, even if it was for the sake of the Academy's reputation, they would not back down so easily. Chu Liuyue's heart warmed, and her lips curled up as she sincerely said, "Thank you, Elder Bo Yen. But there's one thing." Elder Bo Yan's brows were still furrowed. As a condition of compromise, they requested that you give everyone a clear explanation after you come out of Mount Pingmin about the northern wilderness. Now, I'm afraid the Black Demon Cave and the Heavenly Square Sacred Cauldron have to be added. Elder Bo Yen had a headache. The matter was getting out of hand. The trouble at the front had not been resolved, and so many things had happened at the back. Chu Luyue nodded slightly. Student understands. Since the matter was caused by her, she naturally had to come forward to solve it. Then I'll have to trouble Elder Bo Yen to do me a favor. Speak. Since they want an explanation, I'll give them one. Chu Liuyue's lips curved slightly, but her eyes were clear. I'll have to trouble you to send out an invitation and invite them over. This student will confront them face to face and explain everything clearly. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone was shocked. Chu Yu. Elder Wanzhang was the first to lose control. You can't be rash. What was this? They had finally gotten rid of those people with great difficulty, and in the blink of an eye, this kid actually took the initiative to invite them over again. Did he think that it was not chaotic enough? If things were to get out of hand, Chu Yu's situation would be extremely dangerous. Chu Luyue shrugged and looked at him helplessly with a smile. Master, this is the best choice now, isn't it? Lingxiao College could help her once, but it could not help her every time. As long as this matter was not resolved, it would be a hidden danger. Besides, she also wanted to see who was secretly targeting her. She had to find out where the news of the Black Demon Cave and the Heavenly Square Cauldron came from. Seeing Chu Liuyue's firm and fearless attitude, Elder Wanjing was speechless for a moment. How could he not know the stakes in this? However, after so many years, he only had this one precious disciple, and naturally, he could not bear to part with her. After a long while, Elder Wanjing shook his head. Forget it, since you've already thought it through, then, just do it. He would protect her until the end. No matter what, no one could harm a single hair on his disciple. Chu Liyue smiled gratefully and looked at Elder Bo Yen. Elder Bo Yen suddenly looked at Rongxiu. Rongxiu, you see, it was all thanks to Rongxiu that they were able to stop those people the last time. Now that he had made a decision, he wanted to ask for Rongxiu's opinion again. Rongxiu leaned against the back of the chair, his posture lazy and noble. He smiled slightly. Whatever she wants to do, let her be. At most, I will take care of it. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1442. Arrogant. Arrogant. But it was so domineering that it made others speechless. Elder Bo Yen had already understood how important Chu Yu was to Rongxiu during the confrontation with the crowd, so he wasn't surprised when he heard this. However, many of the others present were still shocked to the point of dizziness. He's holding. The other party wasn't just one or two families, but an entire group. Rongxiu was actually willing to take such a huge risk for Chu Yu. The relationship between the two of them was indeed extraordinary. Because the two of them had never officially explained it, everyone could only make wild guesses. They didn't believe it at first, but now it seemed that they were brothers. While everyone was secretly amazed, they also finally understood the various situations that had occurred before. No wonder. Ever since Chu Yu came, Rongxiu had been taking care of him. Now, he didn't even bother to hide it. However, this was ultimately a matter between Rongxiu and Chu Yu, so others couldn't say anything. Moreover, with Rongxiu's help, the pressure on the academy would be reduced by a lot. Elder Bo Yen glanced around. Since that's the case, then it's settled. Hua Feng, immediately send out the invitations and ask them to meet in 3 days. Speaking of this, Elder Bo Yen paused and hesitated. It wasn't a problem to invite them, and 3 days was definitely enough. After all, that group of people couldn't wait to appear here directly. But the key was, where should they meet? If they were to fight outside, then Lingxiao Academy would be outnumbered and would inevitably suffer. But if it was at the academy, if this matter spread, it would greatly affect Chu Yu's reputation. How would the people in the academy view him? At that time, if there were any accidents, Chu Yu would be criticized and ostracized. Chu Liyue looked up and swept her gaze across Elder Bo Yan's conflicted face. Of course, she knew what Elder Bo Yan was worried about. Elder, let's set it in Fangzhou City. Chu Liyue said with a chuckle. That place was close to the academy, and it wouldn't be considered as breaking into the academy. It could attack and defend, and was the most suitable place for the academy. Are you sure? Elder Bo Yan was still hesitant. Chu Liyue nodded. Thank you and the elders for your hard work. This time, I will surely solve all these problems. The elders dispersed and began to prepare for the meeting 3 days later. The matter this time might be a tough battle, so no matter what, they had to do everything well and not make the slightest mistake. In the end, only a few people were left in the room. Chu Liyue bowed to Elder Bo Yan again. Elder, this student is truly grateful for your help. He was willing to risk the entire academy for her sake. She knew it would not be an easy task. Elder Bo Yen smiled. Don't worry, you're innocent. When the time comes, we'll explain everything. It's not good to drag these troubles on. I'll take this opportunity to solve them all at once. He had had enough of those people's harassment. This time, he had to give them a few tight slaps. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant in the future. Chu Liuyue's eyes flickered. You're right. Actually, you have to thank Rong Xiu for this matter. If it wasn't for him, the other elders wouldn't have been so easy to deal with. Of course, when the time comes, your situation will be much better than expected. As long as there's no evidence, those people won't dare to do anything to you. Elder Bo Yen smiled. Also, not all of those aristocratic families are looking for trouble with you. Some of them are on our side, such as the Meteor sect. Chu Luyue came to a realization and the corners of her lips curled up. Shi Rui must have mediated in this matter. She had saved Shi Rui's life, but she had never thought of asking her to repay the favor. She did not expect Shi Rui to be so concerned about this matter. Under such circumstances, it must have taken her a lot of effort to persuade the Meteor sect to stand on her side. This was not an easy task at all. So you don't have to be too worried. When the time comes, just say what you want to say. Elder Bo Yen felt a little more confident now. Let's see who dares to wrongly accuse you. Chu Luyue nodded with a smile. That's right. Could it be that those people would dissect her on the spot and examine her bit by bit? She wanted to see how lively this scene would be. Lingxiao College's invitation was sent out very quickly. The aristocratic families, who were ready to make a move, were stunned when they received the news. Then, they became excited. Lingxiao College would actually do such a thing. To be so daring, how confident were they? However, these were not important. What was important was that this time, everyone's focus was on Chu Yu. He would face everyone head-on. Black Demon Cave. Northern Wilderness. An Heavenly Square Cauldron. All the mysteries would be solved one by one. For a time, the entire Divine Ruins world was in a state of turmoil. What? Lingxiao College invited all of them to gather in Fangzhou City. Ethereal Hall. Bailey Jun looked at the news in his hand and could not believe his eyes. What is Lingxiao College trying to do? For many years, the aristocratic families did not have close ties with each other, and they had always maintained a delicate balance. Yet, Lingxiao College actually wanted to break this balance. Even if they had a strong foundation, this was too daring. Elder Yu Jingzuan stood respectfully below. Patriarch, you don't know, but recently, rumors about Chu Yu have been spreading all over the Divine Ruins. The Spirit Heaven Academy was forced to do this because they had no other choice, right? Bailey Jun frowned. Chu Yu. Who's that? Jiang Ji-won, who was pouring tea by the side, glanced at Yu Jingzuan with jealousy. The academy removed her from the list, but in the blink of an eye, they went to such an extent for Chu Yu. Even if they treated him differently, they shouldn't go overboard. She suppressed the jealousy and resentment in her heart and said softly, Chu Yu is a new student who joined the academy a few months ago. He's quite talented, and his relationship with Rong Xiu seems to be quite good. These words immediately attracted Bailey Jun's attention. Oh. What do you mean by not bad? Wasn't Rong Xiu a loner in the academy? Jiang Ji-won bit her lips. Rong Xiu is personally guiding him in his cultivation, and they both live in Jiuheng Mountain. He's really taking good care of him. Last time, when Chu Yu made a mistake, it was Rong Xiu who interceded for him. Pa. Bailey Jun slammed his cup down heavily. A dull thud sounded. Digression, I have some matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving very late. Perhaps it's after dark. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from LoveNet. Chapter 1443. Jiang Ji-won shuddered and her lips turned pale. She quickly put down the teapot. Grandpa Chun, I shouldn't have said so much. Yuan, this has nothing to do with you. Bailey June looked at her and felt sorry for her. He immediately softened his tone. However, in his eyes, there was still anger that had not been extinguished. I just think that Rongxiu has gone too far. Back then, when you followed him to the academy, he didn't take care of you at all. Later, he just left you alone in Lingxiao College. Didn't he think about how much trouble a young girl like you would encounter in such a strange place? I thought that he was cold and indifferent, so I didn't care. But now, what is this? He's helping someone else train a disciple. He personally trained her and even lived together in Jiuheng Mountain. Even Jiang Ji-won didn't receive such treatment. What right did Chu Yu, who came out of nowhere, have? Even if he doesn't like you, he shouldn't treat you so differently. This makes you. How could Jiang Ji-won put her face in front of others? Jiang Ji-won lowered her head and said in a low voice. Brother Rongxiu has his own considerations. Please don't blame him. Bailey June looked at her and felt even worse. Jiang Ji-won grew up by his side. When had she ever suffered so much? Now that she had been expelled from Lingxiao College, Chu could persuade the entire academy to support him. How could she feel good? Yuan, don't worry. Grandpa will definitely stand up for you this time. Bailey June said and stood up. Jiang Ji-won was shocked and looked up at him in surprise. 2 drops of tears were still hanging in the corners of her eyes. Grandpa Chun, what are you doing? Bailey June snorted coldly. Going to Lingxiao College. Jiang Ji-won's heart skipped a beat. Even elder Yu Jingzuan, who was standing below, was somewhat dazed. He almost thought that he had misheard. Patriarch, are you serious? Bailey Chun walked out of the room and glared at him coldly. Do I look like I'm joking with you? Elder Yu Jingzuan broke out in a cold sweat. How could that be? This is not appropriate. But clan leader, Lingxiao College didn't send an invitation to our Yuntian Tower. It's not easy to go. Bailey June didn't care at all and sneered. What's wrong? I've been in seclusion for a few years. Now, I'm not even qualified to go to Lingxiao College. No. That's not what I meant. Elder Yu Jingzuan's blood froze. He hurriedly explained in a panic. It's just that this matter involves a lot of things. Many first-class families will definitely go to Fangzhou City. When they gather, no one can say for sure what will happen. You've just come out of seclusion, and there are many things in Yuntian Tower that you need to deal with personally. Even if he used his toes to think, he would know that that place was about to become a battlefield. Why would he go there at this time? However, Bailey June didn't take his objection to heart. He waved his hand. For the past few years, I've been in seclusion and didn't get involved in the affairs of Yuntian Tower. I don't see anything happening. Now that I've been away for a few days, what can I do? You don't have to follow me, I'll go there alone. Although Bailey June hadn't been in seclusion for long, he had accumulated too much dissatisfaction and resentment towards Rongxiu in his heart. Power. Status. Dignity. Everything that once belonged to him had now been taken away by Rongxiu. Not only did he want to avenge Jiang Ji-won, but he also wanted to make a show of force. He had to make Rongxiu understand that he, Bailey June, was not dead yet. Seeing that he seemed to have made up his mind, Elder Yu was speechless for a moment and didn't know what to do. Grandpa Chun. I'll go with you. Jiang Ji-won finally reacted and hurriedly followed him. Bailey June looked at her disapprovingly. That place is very messy, what are you going to do there? You haven't fully recovered from your injuries yet, so during this time, just stay in Yuntian Tower. On one hand, he was worried about Jiang Ji-won's health and didn't want her to go back and forth. On the other hand, Jiang Ji-won had been expelled from Lingxiao College. Although he could ignore this matter, it didn't mean that others could. It was easy to imagine what would happen if Jiang Ziyuan were to appear there again. It was inevitable that she would be mocked and ridiculed. Jiang Ji-won keenly caught the look on Bailey June's face. She had been by his side for many years and could read his mind the best. Therefore, at this moment, she directly guessed Bailey June's many concerns. This immediately made her feel uncomfortable all over. Expelled, she was no longer a student of Lingxiao College. Furthermore, he had been chased out in such a disgraceful manner. It wasn't easy for her to escape from the Liang family's pursuit and those people's mocking eyes. It was indeed not a wise choice to go back now. However, she really didn't want to miss out on this good show. After thinking for a moment, Jiang Ji-won's eyes lit up. Then, Grandpa Chun, how about I change my identity and go with you? Bailey June was stunned. Respected Elder Yu Jing frowned. I'm afraid that's not appropriate. If they were found out, it was fine if Jiang Ji-won was embarrassed, but if the entire Yuntian Tower was implicated, how would it end? Although Elder Yu had deep ties with the Tomb of Immortal Water, he wasn't completely brainless. No matter what, the Yuntian Tower was their foundation. If the Yuntian Tower's reputation was ruined, or even worse, as an elder, he would bear the brunt of it. However, at this moment, Bailey June spoke. It's not impossible, but you have to promise that you won't reveal your identity when the time comes. Jiang Ji-won immediately agreed happily. Yes. Clan leader, this, Elder Yu wanted to persuade him again, but Bailey June glared at him. Then the two of you must be careful. Bailey June brushed his sleeves. His expression was calm, but there was a hint of arrogance in it. Of course. With his current strength, wouldn't it be easy for him to protect Jiang Ji-won? Jiang Ji-won stepped forward and hugged his arm coquettishly. I knew that Grandpa Chun loves me the most. Bailey June smiled and tapped her forehead. Hurry up and get changed. Hey! I'll be done soon. Lingxiao College. The elders were busy. The news that heroes from all over the world were about to gather in Fang State City to confront Chiyu quietly spread among the students. Due to the importance of this matter, the elders thought about it again and decided to announce it. After all, even if they didn't announce it now, the students would still know when they arrived outside Fang State City in a few days. The atmosphere of the entire college became tense and cold. It was rare to see people loitering outside. As the time approached, everyone seemed to be nervous. However, at the center of the storm, at this moment, was calmly cultivating in the tower of Pingmin Mountain. Digression, I'm finally home. Tomorrow at 12:00 mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1444. After discussing the meeting with Elder Bo Yen and the others, Chu Luiyue returned to Mount Pingmin and entered the tower again. This time, Chu Luiyue's reason was simple. To nourish her body. The Millennium Frost Jade bed on the second floor was extremely effective for nourishing the body. Seeing her return, Elder Meng naturally thought that she was here for this. He agreed without hesitation. Elder Bo Yen and the others were hesitant at first, but seeing that Elder Meng's attitude towards her seemed to be good, they were relieved. They could more or less see that Chu Luiyue did not go to Mount Pingmin to suffer. With Elder Meng taking care of her, nothing else was worth mentioning. Rong Xiu did not follow her back. Instead, he returned to Mount Zhouheng and was busy with something. It was quiet and empty all around. Chu Luiyue sat cross-legged on the Millennium Frost jade bed. Her eyes were closed as she cultivated quietly. She could even hear her own heartbeat clearly. The surrounding force of heaven and earth constantly flowed into her body, circling in the water droplets and spreading to her limbs and bones. This force nourished her muscles, bones, flesh, and blood little by little. The damage caused by the failure of the breakthrough was also gradually recovering. Her body was tough to begin with, and her recovery ability was astonishing. If it were anyone else, it would take at least 2 to 3 months to fully recover from the injuries caused by this situation. But for her, she was almost fully recovered in just a few days. Of course, Rong Xiu's help was indispensable. As Chu Luiyue cultivated, she silently sorted out the recent events in her heart. She had no dealings with the Black Demon Cave. The only thing she had a connection with was that strange soul. It was the one that had been deposited in Sheng Wanwan's body back then. That person was indeed from the Black Demon Cave, but the last time they confronted each other outside Fang Province City, he had admitted that he had left the Black Demon Cave. Now, he had nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave. Where did this brilliance come from? What Chu Luiyue cared most about was the Heavenly Square Cauldron. Back then, she had obtained the Heavenly Square Cauldron in the Empire of Yaoqin. Very few people knew about this. She knew that this thing was not simple, so she had always been very careful and did not dare to take it out easily. Even the last time in the northern wilderness, she did not use the real Heavenly Square Cauldron. Then, who was the one who spread the news? Chu Luiyue could not figure it out. Since she could not figure it out, after struggling for a while, Chu Luiyue decided to give up. In any case, in a few days, in Fangzhou City, everything would be revealed. The most important thing now was to increase his strength as soon as possible. Beginner stage, against those people, it would be an easy death. In the world of God. With every increase in strength, one's menu otherwise, it was. However, there were less than 3 days left. If he wanted to break through now, it was too difficult. Even. Chu Luiyue held her breath and focused her mind. In the next moment, she began to gather the force in her body again, and all of it surged toward her dantian. Sigh. I'm afraid this girl has really forgotten about me. On the top floor, Elder Meng leaned lazily on the back of the chair. He held his head with one hand and flicked his horsetail whisk with the other. In front of him, there was still the same door that was silently suspended in the air. Ever since he sensed that the thing inside was restless and wanted to rush out, Elder Meng began to suspect that the girl was coming back. But after waiting for a long time, there was no news at all. His heart began to beat like a drum. Could it be that he was wrong? And for some reason, this thing had not moved for the past 2 days. Elder Meng sighed faintly. Back then, he did not intend to help. But he could not resist the girl's coaxing and pestering, so he took this hot potato. For this thing, he had spent a lot of effort in the past few years. Elder Meng was immersed in the memories of the past. Suddenly, his expression froze, and he quickly stood up. He walked to the stairs and looked down. The stairs were intertwined. Standing here, one could not see the situation below clearly. But the entire tower was under Elder Meng's control, so he could accurately know what was happening below. That kid is trying to break through again. Elder Meng muttered in disbelief. Crazy. This is crazy. How many days has it been since the breakthrough failed? That kid's body hasn't fully recovered yet, right? And now he's doing it again. Elder Meng's figure flashed, and he went straight to the second floor. The lower he went, the more he could feel the changes in the heaven and earth force around him. The power and the space seemed to be guided by something, and all of it converged toward a certain spot on the second floor. Elder Mang did not need to look carefully to know that it was where Chu Yu was now. And the heaven and earth force was clearly going toward that kid. Elder Mang stopped at the corner of the stairs on the 3rd floor. From here, he could see Chu Yu cultivating on the 2nd floor. The young man sat quietly, his shoulders drooping naturally. His hands were on his knees, palms facing the sky. He closed his eyes, and the faint glow shone on his porcelain-like face, making him look like he was in a dream or a fantasy. Elder Mang's hand gripped the railing tightly. His brows were deeply furrowed, and his heart was filled with mixed feelings. Now, Chu Yu was clearly in the middle of a breakthrough. It would not be good to interrupt him now. He could only wait. Feeling the surging force around him, Elder Mang gritted his teeth. This kid, he's too bold. In all these years, he had never seen anyone succeed in making 2 breakthroughs in such a short period of time. He's courting death. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1445. This divine power was snatched from Taizu of the northern underworld. Chu Luyue had always thought that she would not be able to completely integrate it before she reached the God realm. But now, such a shocking scene had actually happened. And it looked so easy and simple. Chu Luyue subconsciously held her breath. She could feel that the divine power had already integrated into her Yuan meridian and blood. And it was this blessing that caused Chu Luyue's aura to soar. She was only 1 step away from the middle stage of the 9th rank. She closed her eyes, but the waves in her heart could not be calmed down for a long time. What was this place? And where did this terrifying pressure come from? Most importantly, why was everything here helping her so naturally? Countless thoughts flashed through Chu Luyue's mind. Because of the arrival of the first-rate families and clans outside, the atmosphere in the entire academy was very tense. Many students had spontaneously gathered at Qingming Square. There were also some who chose to stay in their own places, silently waiting for things to develop. On a steep mountain peak, Luo Yanming and Luo Yanlin were facing each other. A huge, translucent chessboard hung between the two of them. Streaks of silver light outlined the chessboard. It was scattered all over the place. It looked like half of the chessboard was already down. Luo Yanming crossed his arms and frowned. He stared at the chessboard in front of him, seemingly in a difficult position. He had been in this position for 15 minutes. Luo Yanlin, on the other hand, looked much more relaxed. He was relaxed and patiently waiting. Time passed slowly, and beads of sweat gradually appeared on Luo Yanming's forehead. He raised his arm and tried to make a move, but at the critical moment, he hesitated and retreated. He wavered. Finally, after about 7 or 8 minutes, he smiled bitterly in dejection. "Fourth brother, I lost." Luo Yanlin waved his wrist, and the chessboard quickly shrank until it condensed into a thin, translucent piece of paper the size of a palm. That thing flew to Luo Yanming. He was stunned for a moment before receiving it with both hands. "Go back and study it." Luo Yanlin walked over and patted him on the shoulder. "Your comprehension is not bad. You should be able to solve it in half a month." Luo Yanming's lips moved, and he smiled helplessly. "I'm useless. I've disappointed you." Compared to ordinary people, or even most Xian master cultivators, he could be considered as one of the best. But compared to the truly top figures, he was very clear that he was lacking. This talent was something that could not be caught. No matter what. Luo Yanlin laughed. "My level is higher than yours to begin with. If you win, where will your fourth brother's face go? Besides, talent alone is not enough to become a powerhouse. Yanming, you must remember this. Heaven rewards the diligent." Luo Yanming took a deep breath and nodded her head. Fourth brother. As he spoke, he carefully put away the item in his hand. Fourth brother, are you two to finish playing to play? Is to zest to him. She was originally here to accompany him to watch the battle today, but when she heard that there was a commotion outside the academy, she left. Luo Yu, how's the situation outside? Luo Shishir saw that Luo Yanming's face was a little pale and knew that they must have lost the game. Fortunately, Luo Yanming had experienced this too many times since she was young and was already used to it. Hence, she recovered after a while. Luo Shishir retracted her gaze and frowned slightly. The situation is not very good. Then, she briefly recounted what had happened outside. Actually, her knowledge was limited. After all, she was not at the scene. She could only find out a little. Anyway, both sides are in a stalemate now. I'm afraid it's hard to say what will happen next. Luo Shishir was worried and confused. Why did these people have to find trouble with Chuyu all of a sudden? It was his own luck that he was able to obtain this opportunity. What did it have to do with others? In any case, these people were influential figures in the first-rate clans. Wouldn't they feel ashamed if they were to force a young man like this? Luo Yanlin could not help but laugh after hearing this. Don't worry. This farce will definitely be loud but small in the end. We'll turn big things into small things and small things into nothing. That kid. Nothing will happen to him. Luo Shishir was stunned and quickly asked, Fourth brother, how did you know? I saw that those people's formation was really big. Luo Yanlin saw her reaction and immediately became unhappy. Although he already knew that his sister liked that brat, seeing her so worried, as an elder brother, he more or less had some thoughts in his heart. He snorted lightly and walked to the stone bench at the side to sit down. He poured himself a cup of tea and said, that kid's life is very tough. Who can do anything to him? In these few months in the academy, Chiyu had encountered quite a lot of trouble, right? There were a few times when his life was on the line and he was surrounded by danger. In the end, wasn't he still alive and well? And he was constantly getting stronger at a terrifying speed. If it was anyone else, they would have died long ago. But this kid was always able to survive. He could see now that he could not use normal eyes to look at Chuyu. Besides, now that Elder Bo Yen and Rong Xiao are speaking up for him, it's obvious that they want to support him. With Lingxiao College and Yuntian Tower as his backing, those people won't dare to act recklessly. Whether it was Lingxiao College or Yuntian Tower, they were not to be trifled with. Not to mention that they had joined forces and stood on the same side now. As long as those people were not crazy, they would not completely offend these two forces for Chuyu. When Luo Shishir heard this, she also felt that it made sense. Fourth brother is right, those people only came because they missed the primordial north and were jealous of Chuyu's situation. If you ask me, the person who instigated this matter behind the scenes has ill intentions, and those who followed the crowd are even more stupid. Offending Lingxiao College and Yuntian Tower because of such a trivial matter without any evidence was really not worth it. They thought that by joining forces, they could share the blame equally, but they did not know that revenge was a dish best served cold. After knowing Rong Xiao for so long, he had never seen Rong Xiao stand up for someone like this. He would definitely remember today's grudge. By the way, Rong Xiao said that he was related to Chuyu. He had always been curious about this point. Now that Rong Xiao had admitted it, he naturally had to study it carefully. Luo Shishir's expression was a little strange. He said, immediate family, but he didn't say anything else. Luo Yanlin touched his chin and pondered for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was a little erratic. I've never heard that Rong Xiao's mother gave birth to a younger brother for him, mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1446. It's time. Elder Bo Yen stood on top of the Eastern Emperor Bell Tower and put away the booklet in his hand. He took a deep breath and turned to walk down. At this moment, a person walked over. Bo Yen. The person who came was in a hurry and frowned. It was Elder Hua Feng. Elder Bo Yen hadn't seen him for the past 2 days, so he was a little surprised to see him now. Hua Feng. Why are you here? Elder Hua Feng walked forward and stared at Elder Bo Yen. His heart was beating much faster than usual. I have something to tell you. Elder Bo Yen was stunned. Now. The Eastern Emperor bell had already rung, which meant that the people outside had gathered in Fang State City. The agreed time had arrived. As the current ruler of Lingxiao College, he should go out. What did he have to say now? Yes. It's just a few words. It won't take much time, but it's very important. Elder Hua Feng was very persistent. Elder Bo Yen rarely saw such an expression on his face, so he nodded. Speak. Elder Hua Feng frowned even more as he looked around. Elder Bo Yen smiled. Only the few of us can come up to this place. No one else is here. If you have anything to say, you can say it boldly. As he spoke, he had some doubts in his heart. Why was Hua Feng so cautious? But soon, he knew the answer. Elder Hua Feng took a step forward and said word by word, Bo Yen, do you still remember that I told you before that we were trapped by a huge and complicated Xian formation in the northern region of the primordial wasteland and finally escaped? Elder Bo Yen nodded. At that time, you seem to have said that it was all thanks to Chu Yu. Yes. Elder Hua Feng's throat was dry. At that time, he had given me a broken Xian formation. After I repaired that Xian formation, I opened the Xian formation that trapped us. After returning, I have been studying that Xian formation. In the end, that Xian formation was related to the first Dean. Elder Bo Yan's originally calm eyes were suddenly set off by stormy waves. What? At first, I only suspected it. I didn't dare to be sure. Plus, you've been very busy recently, so I didn't tell you. I went to take out the profound diagram left behind by that person back then and carefully observed and compared it. Elder Hua Feng paused for a moment before spitting out the following words with difficulty. It's exactly the same. Elder Bo Yen felt his mind go blank. You. Which scroll are you reading? Elder Hua Feng was silent for a while. Heaven Scroll. Although the first principal did not accept any disciples, he had left behind many precious items. Among them, the Xian formation diagrams were divided into 3 scrolls: Heaven, Earth, and Human. Students in the academy could usually read the Human Scroll for free. Some of the more talented ones could even read the Earth Scroll if they performed well. The Heaven Scroll was of the highest level and was also the most confidential. Even among the elders of the academy, there were only a few people who had the qualifications to observe. The Heaven Scroll has always been sealed within the academy. It is impossible for outsiders to see it. Then how did Chu Yu know? Elder Bo Yen muttered in shock. Elder Hua Feng smiled bitterly. He said that he saw it by chance in a deserted cave. At first, he did not pay much attention to this statement. However, when he confirmed that the Xian formation was recorded in the Heaven Scroll, the suspicion in his heart instantly exploded. Because the Xian formations in the Heaven Scroll definitely could not be outside. It was even more impossible for it to be carved in some random cave. Where did Chu Yu find out about this Xian formation? The reason was a mystery. His explanation at that time was obviously a lie. If it wasn't because this matter was too shocking, he wouldn't have chosen to look for Elder Bo Yen at this time. Elder Bo Yen rubbed his forehead. Could it be? Could it be that Rong Xiu taught him? Rong Xiu had gone to see the Heaven Scroll before. There are hundreds of Xian formations recorded in the Heaven Scroll. When Rong Xiu went in, he only saw 2 or 3 at most, right? How could it be so coincidental that he bumped into this one? Elder Hua Feng let out a long sigh. How could he not think of such a possibility? However, this kind of speculation was simply too illusory. Chu Yu obviously knew that the Xian formation was extraordinary. Otherwise, why would he try to get other explanations? If Elder Hua Feng hadn't happened to see it, this matter would never have been discovered. The two of them looked at each other and fell into deep thought. Chu Yu obviously had a big secret on him, dang dang dang. A series of hurried footsteps could be heard. An elder came over to urge him. Bo Yen, it's time. We should go out. They waited below for a long time but didn't see Elder Bo Yen coming down, so they could only come up and ask. He turned his gaze and saw Elder Hua Feng. Hua Feng, you're here too. Elder Bo Yen nodded, and his expression had returned to normal. I'm coming. As he spoke, he lifted his foot and walked down. When he brushed past Elder Hua Feng, the two of them looked at each other without batting an eyelid. Hua Feng, you should follow as well. Elder Hua Feng suppressed the emotions in his heart. And even if there was really something, it was too late to investigate now. Let's take it one step at a time. If it really didn't work out, he would wait until the matter outside was resolved and come back to ask Chu Yu properly. And Rong Xiu. Fangzhou City. In the center of the city, there was a huge circular square. This square was paved with black and white jade stones, and there was a huge teleportation array in the middle. On the teleportation array, there was a totem of Lingxiao College engraved on it. Without a doubt, this was the totem of Lingxiao College. And this teleportation array was also used by Lingxiao College's students and elders. It was just that in normal times, the people of the Spirit Firmament Academy rarely used this teleportation array. After a long time, it gradually became deserted. As a result, very few people came to this square. But today, the huge square was bustling with noise and excitement. Lingxiao College had already divided the square into different areas according to the invitations that were sent out. The major clans and families each occupied a place, and in the end, they formed a circle. Of course, because they were worried about causing misunderstandings, not many people came. The smallest number was 3 to 5, and the largest number was about 10 people. But there were nearly 20 families that arrived today, so overall, there were quite a number of people. Under the guidance of the Lingxiao College's elders and students, everyone took their seats. Elder Wen Shi looked at the empty main seat, and a hint of hesitation and worry flashed across his eyes. It was already time, why hadn't Bo Yen and the others arrived yet? Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind. At the same time, a deep laughter spread throughout the entire square. Ha! It's so lively here. Everyone raised their heads and looked over. When they saw who it was, they were all shocked. Why is the Yuntian Tower's patriarch, Bailey Jun, here? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1447. Everyone in the Divine Ruins world knew that Bailey Jun had been in seclusion for a few years and had not made any moves. They did not expect him to suddenly appear. Has he come out of seclusion? But I don't think I invited him today, right? After all, the Holy Son of Yuntian Tower, Rong Xiu, was currently in Lingxiao College. Moreover, he had already expressed that he was on the same side as Lingxiao College. Why is Bailey Jun here at this time? Could it be that he's also speaking up for Lingxiao College. Everyone had different thoughts, but they did not show it on their faces. They all stood up and bowed. Putting everything else aside, Bailey June's status was indeed very high. Although he no longer had any real power in his hands, he still had to give him face. After all, he was the patriarch of Yuntian Tower. Elder Wensi also led his people forward to welcome him with an eager smile on his face. So it's Patriarch Bailey. Why are you here? We're sorry for not coming out to welcome you. Bailey Chun gracefully landed on the ground, and there was not even the slightest bit of energy fluctuation around him. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. From the looks of it, he had clearly broken through again. Sensing the change in the gazes of the people around him, Bailey June's originally depressed mood immediately improved. He knew very well that after he had been in seclusion for a few years, all his power had been transferred to Rong Xiu's hands. In everyone's eyes, he was just an empty shell of a patriarch, and there was nothing to be afraid of. However, it was a good thing that his strength had increased. These people naturally had to look up to him. Even if they were thinking nonsense in their hearts, they had to be respectful to him on the surface. At any time, having a strong fist was more useful than anything else. Elder Wensi, you don't have to be so polite. This old man came uninvited today only because he was on a whim. You guys can go ahead and do whatever you need to do. You don't have to worry about me. Bailey June stroked his beard and smiled. Elder Wensi cursed in his heart. Easy for him to say. Originally, everyone's seats were already arranged. Now that Bailey June had suddenly arrived, they had to find another seat for him. Moreover, he was of high status, so it was impossible for him to casually pull out a stool for him to sit on. After thinking about it, Elder Wensi could only stretch out his long arm. Then, please take a seat. Lingxiao College had prepared slightly more seats because some of them were reserved for the elders of the college. But now, there was only one empty spot in the middle. Thinking of this, he glanced at the young man behind Bailey June. The young man looked to be about 27 or 28 years old. He was thin and not very tall. He wore a blue and white embroidered robe with a white jade belt around his waist. He had an ordinary face with sharp edges. It doesn't look like anything special. However, out of caution, Elder Wensi still asked a question. May I know who this is? This is Little Lu. He came with me on this trip. You don't need to care about him, he can just stand behind this old man. Bailey June waved his hand as if he didn't care. Elder Wensi heaved a sigh of relief. It seems that he's just a follower and not an important person. You're welcome. We have spare chairs here. It's just a small matter to add one for this person. As he spoke, Elder Wensi gave his subordinate a look. There weren't many important seats, but there were many ordinary chairs. The other families all had seats, so how could they let this young man stand alone? The chair was quickly moved over and added to the left side of Bailey June. Bailey June laughed, and the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes deepened. Little Lu, why aren't you thanking Elder Wensi? The young man immediately responded and thanked him respectfully. Thank you, Elder Wensi. Strange, I just added a chair for this young man. Why do I feel that Bailey June's mood and attitude are obviously better? Elder Wensi muttered in his heart. Maybe it's because he feels that he's valued. After all, this young man is my man. Besides, there are so many people in Yuntian Tower, but Bailey June brought this young man here. It's obvious that he likes him. It's always right to take care of him. Elder Wensi suppressed the doubts in his heart and smiled widely. Patriarch Bailey, please take a seat. Bo Yan and the others should be out soon, and Rong Xiu, crack. A sound suddenly came from the side. Everyone looked up in unison. Not far away, the huge enchantment outside the Spirit Firmament Academy had a crack. A few figures flew out from it. It was Elder Bo Yen and the others. Elder Wensi and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They're finally here. The atmosphere in the hall also became strange. Those who had not had the time to sit down greeted Elder Bo Yen and the others. At this moment, everyone was very polite. Elder Bo Yen also had a smile on his face. No matter what, he had to put on a show. Elder Wensi came over to remind him. Patriarch Bailey is here too. What? Elder Bo Yen was shocked. He looked in the direction he pointed and saw Bailey June. To this, isn't he in seclusion? Why did he come out and even come here? Elder Bo Yen's mind raced, but the smile on his face deepened. Ha ha ha. Patriarch Bailey, what a distinguished guest. Why are you free today? I don't know if Rongsho knows, why didn't he mention it? Bailey June cupped his hands and smiled. This old man came suddenly, Elder Bo Yen won't blame me, right? Why would I? Your presence brings light to Fangzhou City. Ha! Please take a seat. The two of them exchanged a few more pleasantries. On the square, it was a scene of joy and harmony. Finally, a somewhat abrupt voice sounded, breaking this thin layer of illusion. Elder Bo Yen, we're all here, why hasn't Chuyu appeared yet? Could it be that so many of us are here, but we still can't get him to come? Digression, it doesn't seem good to let everyone wait alone, it got dark early yesterday. So I'll update 4 times today and 6 times tomorrow. I'll try to update at noon together. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1448. There was a moment of silence. Elder Bo Yan's expression did not change as he smiled faintly. It's a misunderstanding. Today's situation was initiated by Chuyu to give everyone an explanation. How could he not come? It's probably because of some matters in the academy that delayed him. When she, go and rush him. Elder when she responded and turned around to head towards the academy. Everyone looked at each other in surprise. This was initiated by Chuyu. They had always thought that it was Lingxiao College's idea. On one hand, it was to help Chuyu clear his name. On the other hand, it was to solve this series of troublesome matters. Unexpectedly, it was wasn't that Chuyu only 17 years old? How could he be so daring? Did he know what kind of people he had invited today? It seems that this student of your academy is really a newborn calf that is not afraid of tigers. The man who choked laughed, but he was still a little sarcastic. Elder Bo Yen was calm and composed. The innocent knows that they are innocent. What's there to worry about? The other party's laughter instantly became more awkward. Wasn't this a disguised way of clarifying Chuyu's innocence and pointing at them to slander him? Furthermore, although that child is young, he is a responsible person. After hearing about the previous incident, he felt that it was because he had implicated the academy. No matter what, he had to stand up and explain the misunderstanding to everyone. Look, his body has not recovered yet, and he dragged his sick body to beg me. He said that he had to take responsibility for everything. Elder Bo Yen shook his head and sighed, his tone pitiful. I tried to persuade him, but he did not listen. He is really stubborn. This time, no one spoke casually. What did he say? That these aristocratic families had joined forces to coerce a child? Although it was the truth, it did not sound good to say it out loud. It seems that Elder Bo Yen really dotes on that Chuyu. Bailey June suddenly said. Elder Bo Yen raised his eyes slightly as a faint smile appeared on his aged face. Clan leader Bailey, Chuyu is a student of our academy. Isn't it our duty to protect him? Even if it was not Chu Yu, if it was any other student in the academy, our position would be the same. Although this answer was polite, there was nothing to nitpick about. Moreover, Lingxiao College had always been protective of its students and treated them well. However, when Bailey Jun heard this, he felt even more uncomfortable. The same for all the other students. Then how were they going to remove Jiang Jiwon's name from the list and kick her out of the academy, making her lose face? If Lingxiao College had not been so ruthless, she would not have had to change her appearance just to come here. Bailey Jun felt sorry for Jiang Jiwon. However, he was still clear-headed and didn't question Jiang Jiwon about her expulsion. If something was really involved and the matter was blown out of proportion, wouldn't it be even harder to clean up? Let's talk about this in private. Bailey Jun did not ask any more questions. How dare the Yuntian Tower show up again? On the other side, Liang Xiaoxiao, who was sitting in her seat, could not help but curse softly. They are really shameless. Liang Yi glanced at her and his face darkened. Bailey Jun is the head of the family. Why wouldn't he dare to come? If it were someone else, he might have gone up and argued with them. However, it was Bailey Jun. Don't you know how important Jiang Jiwon is to him? Maybe the Yuntian Tower was willing to help Jiang Jiwon this time because of his instructions. She had thought it was strange before, but now that she saw Bailey Jun, all her doubts were resolved. Bailey Jun treated Jiang Jiwon like his own granddaughter and had always doted on her. This was something that many people knew. It was also because of this that Liang Xiaoxiao was willing to interact with Jiang Jiwon and get closer to her after entering the academy. Otherwise, with her status as the legitimate daughter of the Liang family, why would she be willing to get close to Jiang Jiwon? However, she did not expect Jiang Jiwon to be so disappointing. Not only was she expelled from Lingxiao College, but she was also implicated in her third brother's death. Liang Xiaoxiao now hated her to the core. I really don't know if the head of the Bailey family still values that bitch after this series of events. Liang Yi did not comment. That's enough. Keep it down. There were so many people here. Some things were not good to say after all. If someone heard it, it would be troublesome. Liang Xiaoxiao could only grit her teeth and endure. When Chu Yu came out, she must get to the bottom of it. Outside Pingmin Mountain, Elder Wanzheng and Rong Xiao were waiting for Chu Luo to come out. They had been waiting since early this morning. The Dongguang bell had been rung, but there was still no movement in the tower. Logically speaking, even if you were inside, you should be the one who heard the bell. Elder Wanzheng glanced at the sky. It has been a while. Why is Chu Yu still not out? Could it be that something has delayed him? He was a little uneasy. Although Chu Yu was a naughty child, he was usually very sensible when it came to important matters. Why was he late for no reason now? Rong Xiao at the side narrowed his eyes. A faint light flashed across his eyes. Wanzheng. Where is Chu Yu? Elder Wenqi hurried over. Seeing the two people waiting, his heart was hanging in the air. He's still inside. Elder Wanzheng nodded. I don't know why. There has been no movement. But everyone outside is already here. Elder Wenqi wiped the sweat on his forehead. If it was someone else, it would be fine. But those people were not to be trifled with. How could they keep waiting? Moreover, Bo Yan had gone out. Chu Yu was a junior student and the focus of everyone's debate. How could he not appear? If he went too late, those people might use this as an excuse. Didn't you ask Elder Meng? Elder Meng had been guarding inside. He should know Chu Yu's current situation the best. Elder Wanzheng frowned. Not yet. Then, Elder Wenqi wanted to go forward. He could not delay any longer. Elder Meng has always been a strategist. He should know the importance of today's matter. Until now, he has not let Chu Yu out. He must have his own reasons. Rong Xiao at the side suddenly said. His voice was low and sweet. It was as calm as usual. Elder Wenqi's footsteps paused. For a moment, he was in a dilemma. Rong Xiao's words were not without reason. If there really was something, it was useless to rush him. But, could it be that they really had to wait like this? It won't be long before those people outside start making a ruckus, right? The waiting time was particularly unbearable. Finally, when Wenqi finally could not hold back and wanted to rush forward, the enchantment outside Pingmin Mountain suddenly rippled. A slender and tall figure walked out from the gate of the tower. It was Chu Luyue. He's out. Elder Wanzheng was very happy. He quickly waved at Chu Luyue. Chu Luyue looked up and saw these people. She quickly rushed over. Swish! The next moment, her figure was like lightning. She instantly appeared in front of them. Elder Wenqi heaved a sigh of relief. Chu Yu. You finally came out. If you didn't come out, this old man would have barged in. Chu Luyue blinked and smiled. Sorry, I took a little more time to break through. I didn't take too long, right? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1449. As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd fell silent for a moment. Elder Wenqi looked at Chu Luyue in shock and found that her aura was much stronger than before. You broke through. He murmured in disbelief. Didn't this kid say that she was in poor health a few days ago? At that time, Elder Meng was also very worried, which made him worry for a few days. But in the blink of an eye, not only did her injuries heal, but she also broke through. Because Chu Luyue had the Yuan device left by Dugu Maobao to hide her aura, even if she was standing in front of them, Elder Wenqi and the others couldn't sense her current realm. Chu Luyue said with some embarrassment. I just broke through to the middle stage of rank 9. Actually, she could continue to break through. Inside the tower, she seemed to have once again entered that mysterious state. The surrounding heaven and earth force flowed into her body and merged into her bones and blood at an extraordinary speed. The whole process was natural and smooth. Chu Luyue's mind was firm, and no accidents happened this time. She naturally broke through to the middle stage of rank 9. After that, her body's devouring of the origin power didn't stop there. Chu Luyue knew very well that if she continued to cultivate like that, she could basically break through to the peak of rank 9 smoothly. On one hand, she had the Tianjing Yuan Meridian now and was very talented. On the other hand, she had the memories and experience in this area. She could break through directly without the guidance of others. However, after thinking for a moment, she still chose to stop. Every cultivator had the heart to become stronger, and Chu Luyue was no exception. However, she had always been very cautious in this aspect. Recently, she had been feeling that her breakthrough speed was a little too fast. Even if it was mainly because she had encountered many unexpected opportunities in the middle, she was still very cautious. The corner of Elder Wenqi's mouth twitched. Do you think that's the right word to say? However, looking at Chu Luyue's sincere face, he couldn't say anything to refute. This kid is a freak. Didn't he already know about it from the day he entered the school? On the other hand, Elder Wanjing quickly accepted this fact. Ha ha ha. As expected of my disciple. Very outstanding. Elder Wenqi faintly glanced at him. Could the filter not be so thick? Even if something strange happened to your disciple, I'm afraid you'd think it was normal. Rong Xiao was the calmest. For the past few days, she had stayed in Pingmin Mountain, and he knew that she wanted to try to break through again. This was not a difficult task for her to begin with. However, what surprised him was that she actually did not break through to the peak of the 9th stage, and even, probably because there's not enough time, Rong Xiu's eyebrows twitched. Forget it, forget it. Let's not talk about this for now. It's getting late. Those people are already waiting outside. Let's hurry over. Elder Wensi reacted and hurriedly urged. Chu Luiyue gently nodded as the corners of his lips curled up. All right. Her eyes were as bright as the stars, and her expression was relaxed as if she did not realize what kind of trouble was waiting for her. Elder Wensi sighed in his heart. No matter what, I must protect this kid. Chu Yu. Just as the few of them were rushing out of the school, a familiar voice was heard. Chu Luiyue stopped in his tracks and turned to look. A few people were rushing over from the opposite mountain. Luo Shishir, Luo Yanming, and Zhuo Sheng were all familiar faces. Most importantly, there was a face that he had not seen for a long time beside them. Chu Liuyue's heart skipped a beat, and the corners of his lips curled up. Hong Yu, why are you here? Although she came out a few days ago, she went directly to the Donghuang Bell Tower. After discussing things with Elder Bo Yan and the others, she went straight back to Pingmin Mountain. No one told her that Mu Hongyu had come to the school. Now that she suddenly saw her, she was naturally very surprised. Mu Hongyu's almond-shaped eyes were also bright, and she quickly rushed forward. She wanted to give Chu Luiyue a big hug, but when she was in front of him, she suddenly remembered that Chu Luiyue was now using another identity, so she quickly stopped in her tracks. However, the joyful look on his face was clearly seen by the surrounding crowd. I've been here for a few days. But you've been staying at Pingmin Mountain all this time, so we haven't seen each other. Mu Hongyu said excitedly as she looked up and down at Chu Luiyue. Have you been well in the past few months in the school? She had heard about those things, so she could not help but worry. Chu Luiyue could not help but gently knock her forehead. Do I look like something's wrong? Everyone could see that the two of them were indeed very close. Luo Shishir pursed her lips, and her heart ached. She had never seen Chu Yu treat any woman so casually and freely. Mu Hongyu was really different. This kind of Chu Yu was somewhat different from the polite Chu Yu she knew. Luo Yanming glanced at her sister out of the corner of her eye, sighed in her heart, but also breathed a sigh of relief. The onlookers saw more clearly. Chu Yu obviously did not like Luo Shishir, and only treated her as a friend. Now, it was best to let her give up before she said anything. Mu Hongyu saw that Chu Luiyue could still joke, and her heart calmed down a lot. I knew you would be able to do it. Chu Luiyue looked at her and suddenly asked in surprise, you broke through to the 9th level? Yes. Just before I came, I broke through at Qi, at home. Mu Hongyu stuck out her tongue. It was Master and the others who sent me here. Chu Luiyue immediately understood. It seemed that Diwu Zhangze and the others helped. At the same time of surprise, Chu Luiyue could not help but secretly sigh. Mu Hongyu's physique and talent were indeed enviable. She relied on various opportunities to break through to the peak of the 9th level in such a short time. However, Mu Hongyu had only cultivated with Diwu Zhangze and the others in the Red Moon Desert for a few months, and she had also successfully broken through to the 9th level. If this spread out, countless people would be envious. Chu Yu, Hongyu, if you want to catch up, why don't you wait first? Elder Wensi could not help but interject. This time, Chu Luiyue nodded with a smile. Although she was not afraid of being late, she did not want to put Elder Wensi in a difficult position. You're right. Hongyu, I'll go out first. Wait for me at the academy. Mu Hongyu suddenly took a step forward. Chu Yu, I want to go with you. She vaguely knew what was going on outside, and she was very worried. At this time, she did not want Lu Yu to face it alone. Even if he just stood next to her, it would be good. Elder Wenxi frowned. This is not okay. Chu Luyue nodded gently and agreed to Mu Hongyu's request. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from love. Chapter 1450. Chu Liyue's answer was unexpected. Everyone present was stunned for a moment, almost thinking that they had heard wrongly. That kind of occasion, it was obvious what kind of swords and knives would be. Why did he have to bring someone? Mu Hongyu was very happy and nodded repeatedly. No matter what, she must not watch Lu Yu be bullied. Seeing that Chu Luyue seemed to be determined, Elder Wenxi thought for a moment and did not object. It was just one more student, it did not matter. It's fine if you want to go, but Hongyu, don't talk nonsense when you get there, understand? Mu Hongyu covered her mouth and nodded repeatedly. Then let's go. As soon as Elder Wenxi finished speaking, he heard Luo Shishir's voice from behind. Master, I'll go too. Shishir. Luo Yanming and Zhuxing both looked at her in surprise. Fourth brother had already told them that the Luo family was not invited this time and that they should try not to get involved in this matter in the academy. Now Luo Shishir wanted to go too. Wasn't this nonsense? But Luo Shishir insisted. She looked at Elder Wenxi pleadingly. Master, I promise that I will be honest when I go. I won't say a word. Elder Wenxi had a headache. Why did all of them want to go? If they continued to argue like this, there would not be enough time. He made up his mind. Let's go together. In Fangzhou City, on the wide and flat square, there was silence. Everyone was sitting in a circle. At first, they could still exchange a few words with each other, but as time passed, the atmosphere gradually became cold and stagnant. From time to time, people would look in the direction of Lingxiao College. Furthermore, there were some people that had already revealed impatient expressions. If it weren't for Elder Bo Yen and the others holding the fort, they wouldn't have been able to wait any longer. I didn't expect this Chu Yu to be so arrogant. A voice sounded in the crowd, it was neither loud nor soft, with a hint of sarcasm. To be the only person in the northern region of the primeval wilderness who has obtained an opportunity is naturally extraordinary. Someone laughed softly, but the laughter was harsh. Elder Bo Yen turned a deaf ear. Wasn't it just a few words? What was there to care about? As long as these people didn't really fight, everything was negotiable. Jean D, who was sitting at the side, stroked his stubble and finally couldn't help but sneer. I heard that Chu Yu is only a rank 9 warrior now, and his extravagance is already so grand. If he broke through to the god realm in the future, wouldn't he be even more powerful? At that time, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to even see him. Hey! Some people's faces turned ugly. He was merely a junior, yet he had made so many of them wait here and had yet to show himself. He was truly arrogant. Senior Golden Flute, you're wrong. A clear voice that was like a clear spring in the mountains flowed down and broke this oppressive and stiff atmosphere. Hearing this, everyone immediately looked in the direction of Lingxiao College. Several figures were flying out one after another. The person who spoke was precisely Chu Yu. Their speed was very fast, and they soon arrived at the square. Countless pairs of eyes swept over the newcomers, and then paused on Rong Xiao and Chu Luyue for a moment. The meaning was unclear. Only Elder Bo Yen and the others were a little shocked when they saw Mu Hongyu and the others behind them. But in front of so many people, it wasn't too good to ask in detail. But it was just a few students, and it didn't affect the overall situation. Chu Luyue was still smiling and said, compared to all of you, Chu Yu's status really doesn't dare to be presumptuous. It's just that I was delayed by some matters earlier, so I'm late. Chu Yu is here first, and I apologize to all of you. With that, she really bent down slightly and bowed to them, and then looked at Jean D with a smile. What you said just now, isn't it a little underestimating the status of all of you here? Was she saying that he deliberately looked down on everyone present? Jean D's face changed. I know that all of you came from afar this time because of some misunderstandings, and you want to find me for an explanation. Chu Liyue changed the topic and had already glossed over the previous topic. Jean D's chest was stuffy, and half of his breath was blocked in his windpipe. It was so uncomfortable that he wanted to die. This Chu Yu, extremely cunning and treacherous. He snorted coldly. Escape. Could he escape? Today, he must peel off a layer of skin from Chu Yu. The others had already been distracted by Chu Liyue's words. That's right. Since you're going straight to the point, then let's not talk about those nonsense. Chu Yu, about some of the recent rumors related to you, do you have anything to say? On the other side, a black-robed elder stroked his beard and asked in a deep voice. They had to give people a chance to explain, otherwise, it would seem that they were overbearing and unreasonable. Chu Liyue nodded slightly. I will give all of you a clear and reasonable explanation. Chu Yu, come here. Elder Bo Yen suddenly spoke, waved at Chu Liyue, and pointed to the seat beside him. Although today's interrogation was directed at Chu Yu, he did not want Chu Yu to look like a criminal and be bullied and humiliated by these people. Chu Liyue's heart warmed slightly. The seat beside Elder Bo Yen was not a seat that ordinary people could sit on. This represented Elder Bo Yen and the entire Lingxiao College's support for her. She hesitated for a moment, then walked over. On the other side, Bailey Jun had already looked at Rongxiu. His face darkened slightly. Holy Sun, we haven't seen each other for a long time. Have you even forgotten how to address me? Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1451. Rongxiu chuckled. His thin, scarlet lips curled into a faint smile, but his deep, phoenix-like eyes were still cold. Greetings, Patriarch. He nodded slightly. Although he was saluting, his imposing manner did not diminish at all. Instead, it made him look even more elegant and noble. In front of Bailey Jun, he did not give in at all. Bailey Jun's heart sank. After not seeing him for a few years, Rongxiu seemed to be even more difficult to provoke than before. He still remembered how young Rongxiu was when he chose to go into seclusion. In the blink of an eye, that young man had been reborn and grown into a giant. He had underestimated Rongxiu. I wonder when Patriarch came out of seclusion. I didn't receive any news. Rongxiu chuckled. If I knew, I would have come out to welcome you personally. Bailey Jun suppressed the waves in his heart. It happened 2 days ago. I wanted to send you a message, but then I heard about what happened here, so I decided to come in person. I thought that I would have to meet you anyway, so I didn't bother them. I see. Patriarch, you seem to have made a breakthrough this time. I really have to congratulate you. This sentence finally made Bailey Jun's expression relax a little. He snorted and the corners of his mouth twitched. It's not as fast as the Saint's rapid progress in the past few years. This was not a polite remark. After he came out of seclusion, he specifically asked Yu Jing and the others some questions. Among them was Rongxiu's current strength. But in fact, Yu Jing and the others did not know much about this. Because in the past few years, Rongxiu did not spend much time in Yuntian Tower. And every time he came back, he came and went in a hurry. How did they know? It was nothing more than a rough guess. Even so, it was not difficult to guess Rongxiu's basic strength. Bailey Jun was shocked. Although he was a little unhappy, he could only accept it. Rongxiu was a once-in-a-thousand-years genius of the Yuntian Tower, so it was normal for him to have such a cultivation speed. It was impossible for others to be envious, including him. Rongxiu's gaze swept over the young man beside him, but it was as cold as a knife. Jiang Jiwan's heart tightened. Without raising her head, she could feel Rongxiu's gaze on her, as if he could see right through her. She lowered her head even more guiltily. Her face was disguised, and so was her figure. Even her aura was concealed by Bailey Jun. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any flaws. Who is this? Why haven't I seen you before? Rongxiu asked slowly. Bailey Jun furrowed his brows. Lil Lu, recently promoted from the bottom. I saw that he had a good aptitude, so I took him with me. There are so many people in the Yuntian Tower, the Holy Sun might not know every one of them, right? Rongxiu suddenly laughed. You're right. To be able to gain your favor, he must not be an ordinary person. Eyes are bad, I didn't notice such a person before. He remembered the entire Yuntian Tower, from top to bottom, as long as he had seen it before. Even if it was a lowly servant. And this person, Rongxiu sneered and retracted his gaze. Without that oppressive gaze, Jiang Ziyuan breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. A wave of coldness hit her, and only then did she realize that her back was already drenched in cold sweat. She secretly gritted her teeth. Rongxiu only looked at her twice. How could she be so useless? I hope he doesn't notice anything. Jiang Jiwan wanted to take the opportunity to look at the face that she had been dreaming of. After all, they had not seen each other for a long time. However, she felt very guilty after hearing Rongxiu's words, so she naturally didn't dare to move. She looked down and stood at the side, not daring to say a single word. Bailey Jun put on a fake smile. The Holy Sun is busy. Naturally, he has no time to care about these things. There was an undercurrent between the two. Many people around them looked over with complicated expressions on their faces. Their thoughts were running wild. It seems like the two most powerful people in the Yuntian Tower don't have a good relationship. Apparently, when Rongxiu was first found in the Yuntian Tower, this Bailey clan leader was very opposed to him being added to the clan's genealogy. He even suggested twice that Rongxiu be given the harshest punishment. That kind of punishment was unbearable for cultivators with decent strength, let alone Rongxiu, who was only a child at that time. If Rongxiu did not take the initiative to summon the infinite divine dial and test his shocking talent, he would have died there. It was also because of this that Rongxiu and Bailey Jun's relationship had never been good. Especially now that Rongxiu had so much power in his hands, he could order the entire Yuntian K with just one word. Bailey Jun no longer had any real power in his hands. He was only left with the empty title of clan leader. Could the two of them see eye to eye? Please rest first. I will go first. Rongxiu seemed to have turned a deaf ear to Bailey Jun's sarcasm. After politely bowing, he turned around and left. From the beginning to the end, he had his own noble and arrogant aura, but no one could find fault with him. Seeing the tall and slender figure leave, Bailey Jun felt stifled in his heart. Back then, they had planned to directly dispose of Rongxiu. But because he had shown great talent, after much debate, they chose to keep him. At that time, he actually did not take Rongxiu seriously. Even if his mother was a direct descendant of the Yuntian Tower, his father was of humble birth. With such a background, he was destined to never be able to raise his head in the Yuntian Tower. But later, the development of the situation gradually got out of control. It was not until Rongxiu killed his way out and ascended to the position of the son of saint that he realized that he had completely underestimated this young man. But at that time, everything was too late. Therefore, he could only accept the fact that Rongxiu had become the son of Saint. But he still misjudged Rongxiu's ambition and ability. Until this time, when he came out of seclusion, he realized that he had never seen Rongxiu clearly. Everything in the past was just Rongxiu's little tricks. If he had known, he would have killed him back then. But what was the use of regretting it now? Bailey Jun gritted his teeth, his face grim. On the other side, Rongxiu did not seem to be affected at all, and sat down directly beside Chu Luiyue. Hey, Rongxiu, your seat is over here. Elder Bo Yen glanced to the side and pointed to the other side of him as a reminder. Rongxiu leaned back and smiled faintly. It's the same no matter where I sit. Elder Bo Yan's mind turned quickly, and he did not insist. Rongxiu really put in a lot of effort for Chu Yu's sake. Chu Luiyue also turned her head. The two of them looked at each other. She blinked slightly. Originally, she and Rongxiu were supposed to sit on either side of Elder Bo Yan, but now, he and Elder Bo Yan were sitting on both sides of her. Unknowingly, she was surrounded in the middle like stars surrounding the moon. Was he here to support her? Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1452. The surroundings fell silent for a moment. Chu Luiyue narrowed her eyes, retracted her gaze, and looked at the crowd. Sorry for the long wait. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Chu Yu will be honest and tell you everything I know. Her magnanimity stunned the crowd for a moment. She was quite direct. Many people exchanged glances in private. There were so many questions. Which one should they ask first? Anne. Who would ask? Chu Luiyue was still smiling, seemingly very patient. She did not intend to waste time with these people. The hesitation at this moment was only because they had their own plans. But in reality, their targeting and suspicion would not reduce because of this. Chu Yu, I have something to ask you. The first to step forward was actually Liang Xiaoxiao. Liang Yiye was also shocked and hurriedly gave Liang Xiaoxiao a look. However, Liang Xiaoxiao was determined to speak at this time, and no one could stop her. Chu Luiyue nodded slightly. Senior Sister Liang, please ask. Liang Xiaoxiao stared at Chu Luiyue, as if she wanted to dissect her from the inside out. Let me ask you. How did my third brother die in the primeval north region? Xiao. Liang Yiye could not help but call out to her. This question could be asked in private. Why did she have to ask in public? The people from Lingxiao College were all present. Wasn't she deliberately embarrassing them? Everyone knew that Lingxiao College had always been neutral about this kind of thing. They would never reveal a word in this regard. If the people from Lingxiao College misunderstood, Chu Luiyue shrugged and revealed a helpless expression. Sorry, Senior Sister Liang. You should know the rules of the college. Of course I know. Liang Xiaoxiao did not show any disappointment. Instead, she took half a step forward and continued to ask. I received news that my third brother had asked for help at that time. The elders originally wanted to help, but you stopped them. Is this true or false? As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned for a moment. Then, they all looked at Chu Luiyue. If this was true, then Chu Yu had an undeniable responsibility for Liang Xiaokong's death. Even Liang Yiye had a doubtful look on his face. This news. Where did Xiao hear it from? Why didn't he know about it? But since she asked this question, then it might not be impossible. Jiang Ji-won, who was standing behind Bailey Jun, still had her head down, but she was very focused and heard every word clearly. She pursed her lips. Her hand and her sleeve pinched a corner of her shirt, unconsciously twisting it. "I did," Liang Xiaoxiao still asked. It seemed like his father's secret message wasn't completely useless after all. She knew that Liang Xiaoxiao and Liang Xiaokong's relationship was very good. Moreover, she was also an impulsive person. As long as she wanted to sow discord, she could do anything. Now, the cannon fire was finally aimed at Chu Yu. Chu Liyue smiled. His expression was calm and there wasn't the slightest ripple in his eyes. "Senior Sister Liang, I'm just an ordinary student in the academy. What right do I have to command the elders? Aren't you overestimating me? Besides, I don't know your third brother. Why should I do this? Ordinary student." Liang Xiaoxiao sneered in disdain, as if she had heard a joke. "You actually have the nerve to say that you're an ordinary student. After entering the northern region of the Eldritch Desolation, you were trapped. Didn't you rely on your plan to escape safely? At that time, even the elders seemed to rely on you and listen to your words, right?" Many people were shocked. Although they knew that Chu Liyue had obtained the inheritance in the northern region of the Eldritch Desolation, they didn't know much about what Liang Xiaoxiao said. At this moment, when they suddenly heard it, they were very shocked. The elders all listened to that teenager. This sounded preposterous. But Liang Xiaoxiao's words were so convincing that it didn't seem like she was lying. As if sensing the suspicions of the surrounding people, Liang Xiaoxiao snorted coldly and said, "Everyone, you might not know this, but at that time, Jiang Jiwan accidentally killed a nine-tailed blue crow, causing a large number of nine-tailed blue crows to chase after him. In a moment of desperation, they had no other choice and nowhere to escape. In the end, they followed Chu Yu all the way and successfully reached that canyon. Only then were they able to escape safely. As for my third brother, he might have been killed in that canyon. At that time, Chu Yu, of course your opinion was important. It could even influence the elders' decision. Do you dare to admit it?" Liang Xiaoxiao was agitated. Her face was flush red, and her eyes seemed to be burning with anger. Everyone around her was shocked by her words, and it took a long time for them to recover from their shock. "Liang Xiaoxiao, you mean Chu Yu was the one who brought people to the canyon?" a middle-aged man suddenly asked. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. If this was true, then didn't that mean Chu Yu knew the location of the canyon from the beginning? Then, the implications of this matter were too great. For a moment, countless pairs of doubtful eyes landed on Chu Liyue. Elder Hua Feng and the others looked tense. In fact, they had always been very curious about this point. At that time, Chu Yu's performance did seem like he was very familiar with the northern part of the primordial world. However, Chu Yu did not say much, so they did not ask further. Who knew that Liang Xiaoxiao would actually bring up this point and pointed at Chu Yu? How did she know so much about it? Someone must have told her. Chu Liyue was also thinking about this question. Facing Liang Xiaoxiao's angry questioning, Chu Liyue's reaction was much calmer. She tilted her head and frowned as if she was deep in thought. Liang Xiaoxiao sneered. "What? Feeling guilty? Can't you make it up?" Chu Liyue shook her head and smiled. "No, I'm just thinking, weren't you guys chasing after Jiang Jiwan a while ago? Why are you so biased towards her now?" What? Liang Xiaoxiao's expression froze, and she did not react for a moment. Chu Liyue blinked and explained patiently with a smile, "Only a few people know about the situation at that time. And there are even fewer people who are willing to tell you this. Senior Sister Liang, you probably don't know, but at that time, we were actually following Jiang Jiwan's words in the northern part of the primordial world. At that time, we had just arrived in the northern part of the primordial world, but we encountered several troubles in a row. After a while, we were almost at our wits' end. Fortunately, we met Jiang Ji-won later. She happened to escape from a predicament and had been running for a long time. She knew the safest way. Therefore, we chose to let her lead the way. As she spoke, Chu Luiyue looked at Shi Rui. Senior sister Rui, what do you think? Shi Rui curled her lips into a smile. That's right. Although I have never liked Jiang Ji-won, she was the most experienced at that time, so we all chose to listen to her and escape from the northern part of the primordial world. In the end, it was Jiang Ji-won who led us. I don't know why, the leader was changed to junior brother Chu Yu. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1453. Shi Rui's smile was cold and her tone was sarcastic. I'm afraid that someone is desperately trying to push all the blame onto someone else. Although she did not mention a name, everyone could tell that she was talking about Jiang Ji-won. Liang Xiaoxiao was also stunned. She had only received this news by chance a few days ago, but she did not know who sent it. She had wanted to investigate, but the other party was very secretive. She could not find anything even after a few days of searching, so she had to put it aside for the time being. However, she believed this news very much. Because it was too detailed. She knew that it was most likely someone who had secretly leaked this news. However, she did not expect that it would be Jiang Ji-won. After all, not long ago, she and her father had chased after Jiang Ji-won, causing her to panic like a stray dog. In the end, she had no choice but to hide in the Yuntian Tower and did not dare to come out again. Jiang Ji-won must hate them to the core. Why would she take the initiative to say this? However, after hearing Shi Rui's words, Liang Xiaoxiao realized that she was wrong. Jiang Ji-won not only hated them, but also hated Chu Yu and the school. If he could use this opportunity to viciously attack his enemies, then why not? In the end, Jiang Ji-won, only needed to reap the benefits. After coming back to her senses, Liang Xiaoxiao's face turned green and white. She could not help but curse angrily. That be *tch. Most of the people present had no relationship with Jiang Ji-won, so they did not care when they heard this. As for Rong Xiu, his attitude towards Jiang Ji-won had always been as cold as the wind, so he naturally did not take it to heart. The only person who was upset when he heard this was Bailey June. However, Liang Xiaoxiao was about to explode in anger. How could she care about Bailey June? Besides, the one who was at fault was Jiang Ji-won. Even if Bailey June was unhappy, he was in no position to make a scene in front of her. Unbeknownst to her, Jiang Ji-won, who was being insulted by her, was at the scene and had heard everything clearly. Jiang Ji-won's heart was beating violently. Her blood was about to rush out, and her temples were throbbing. If it wasn't for her last bit of rationality, she would have already rushed over and ripped Liang Xiaoxiao's mouth apart. She clenched her fists so hard that her knuckles turned white. With great difficulty, he suppressed the emotions in his heart. Wait. These people were all waiting. So, at that time, my third brother's death, Liang Xiaoxiao gritted her teeth. So it's still related to her. Was it that bitch who told the elders not to save them? Oh, right. At that time, didn't Jiang Ji-won admit it herself? At that time, third brother had begged her, but she ignored him. At that time, Jiang Ji-won said that she couldn't persuade the academy elders, so she had no choice but to do so. But now, it was clear that she was the mastermind behind this matter. Chu Luiyue opened her mouth, but before she could say anything, Shi Rui took over. Actually, you can't completely blame Jiang Ji-won for this matter. After all, we couldn't even protect ourselves at that time. How could we have the extra strength to help? Jiang Ziyuan clenched her fists so hard that they almost broke. Shi Rui seemed to be speaking up for her, but in fact, she was giving her a hard push. She was determined to kill her. However, no matter how much she wanted to argue, she couldn't open her mouth as she was wearing another face. A sweet and fishy smell surged up. Jiang Jiwon swallowed it. After hearing Shi Rui's words, many people expressed that they were convinced. Although the Meteor sect had a good relationship with Lingxiao College, it wasn't to the extent that they would put in so much effort for one of their students. Shi Rui was young, but she was very experienced in dealing with people and was very bold. Since she had said so, then it should be true. Chu Luyue glanced at Shi Rui, and the corners of her lips curled up. It felt good to have someone's help. She didn't persuade Ziqin to release the legendary three-eyed eagle in vain. That canyon is very dangerous. It's hard to say whether anyone will live or die if they go in. We also suffered a lot when we went in. Shi Rui tucked her hair behind her ear and said with a smile. I heard that many people here suspect that Chiyu has a very good understanding of the northern territory of the Great Desolate Land. That's why he was able to obtain such a precious opportunity when others were having a hard time surviving. But, I wonder if you have any evidence to prove it. The few people from the Meteor sect, including me, have been with them all this time. If Chuyu was really up to something, how could we not know about it? Aren't you looking down on the Meteor sect too much? At the end of her speech, Shi Rui's tone carried a trace of displeasure and arrogance. Liang Xiaoxiao's arrogance was suppressed, and her expression became somewhat hesitant. Is this true or false? Liang Yiye took the opportunity to pull her back. Sit down. How can you say such things without solid evidence? Liang Xiaoxiao could only clench her teeth and sit back down. After going around in circles, the problem still came back to Jiang Jiwon. If she had the chance to meet her, she would definitely teach her a lesson. I'm afraid that we can't come to a conclusion on this matter in such a short time. I think we should change the question. A man who seemed to be in his 30s suddenly spoke. He was wearing a dark purple robe. His cheeks were thin, and his facial features were ordinary. Only his eyes seemed to have thorns, and they were exceptionally sharp and deep. Chu Luyue glanced at him, but didn't recognize him. Rong Xiu's voice was heard at this moment. Ziguang County's princess, Yao Bin. They have suffered heavy casualties in the northern territory of the Great Desolate Land. He was very close to Chu Luyue, so his low and deep voice was exceptionally moving. Chu Luyue's ears became slightly hot. In addition, they have a blood feud with the Black Demon Cave. Chu Luyue immediately became alert and tapped her fingers on the armrest. Sure enough, in the next moment, the other party went straight to the point and asked directly. Chu Yu, it's rumored that you have a close relationship with the Black Demon Cave. How do you explain this? Chu Luyue sat up straight. Unlike her previous carefree calmness, her expression was much more serious and solemn. I have nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave. She enunciated each word clearly. Yao Bin frowned, and his expression was dangerous. If you have nothing to do with it, why do you have the aura of the Black Demon Cave on you? Digression, it's over a 5-star rating in the bookstore. February is really too pitiful. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1454. Everyone looked over, their eyes full of scrutiny and doubt. Compared to Liang Xiaokong's death, they were more concerned about this. The Black Demon Cave had a bad reputation in the Divine Ruins world. Although they had kept a low profile in recent years, it did not change most people's impression of them. Therefore, when they heard that Chu Luyue was related to the Black Demon Cave, a string in their minds immediately tightened. Elder Bo Yen and the others also looked over. They still did not know what was going on. If Chu Luyue could not clarify this issue, she would be attacked by the crowd. Chu Luyue narrowed her eyes. She had the aura of the Black Demon Cave on her. She had only exchanged blows with them in the past few times, but had not done anything else. Could it be, the so-called aura was left behind because of this? It shouldn't be. She had never heard of anyone being able to leave their opponent's aura on their body while fighting. She said indifferently. Princess Yao, please forgive Chuyu for not knowing what you mean. I did have a dispute with the people of the Black Demon Cave before, but that was all. As for the rest, I don't know what's going on. Elder Wan Zhang's expression changed slightly, and he could not help but ask in a low voice. Chuyu, you fought with the Black Demon Cave before. Those are extremely vicious people. If Chuyu ran into them, wouldn't he? Fortunately, he was fine. It was not just Elder Wan Zhang. Hearing Chu Liuyue's words, many of the people around felt their hearts beating like a drum. The people of the Black Demon Cave have not come out in recent years. How did you run into them? Yao Bin leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Chu Luyue. The pressure was extremely strong. Do you have any witnesses or evidence to back up your claims? Witnesses? Evidence? Chu Luyue could not help but chuckle. Princess Yao, why would I lie about something like this? Did he want her to resurrect Shang Wanwan? Besides, even if they didn't appear in public, it doesn't mean that they really don't go out, right? As far as I know, the strength of the Black Demon Cave can be considered tyrannical, and the scale of the entire sect is not small. Will they really obediently stay in their own territory and do nothing for the next few years? That was impossible. Yao Bin choked. Oh right, there's one more thing that I need to make clear to everyone. The person who fought with me is no longer a member of the Black Demon Cave. As for who he is, I have no idea. Not a member of the Black Demon Cave. How were they supposed to investigate? Yao Bin suddenly said, Chuyu, my Purple Light County has fought with the Black Demon Cave for many years and can be considered to have some experience. I can confirm that you do have the aura of the Black Demon Cave. If you really have a clear conscience, do you dare to let me investigate? Chu Liuyue's eyebrows twitched slightly. Before he could speak, he heard Rong Xiu's soft voice. How does Princess Yao plan to investigate? Yao Bin glanced at Rong Xiu, knowing that he intended to stand up for him. However, if he didn't get to the bottom of this matter, he definitely wouldn't let it go. Their Purple Light County would not easily let go of anyone who was related to the Black Demon Cave. Yao Bin took something from his hand. It was a thumb ring, completely carved out of purple jade. It was sparkling and translucent, glossy and shiny. As the light flowed, one could vaguely see something flowing slowly inside. A wave of pressure that could not be ignored spread out from it. This thumb ring can detect the aura of the Black Demon Cave. If there is anything related to the Black Demon Cave in Chuyu's body, it will be forced out. If there is nothing, everything will be normal. As Yao Bin spoke, he looked at Chu Luyue. Chuyu, do you dare to accept? Although it was somewhat shameful to accept such an investigation in public, there was no doubt that this was the most straightforward way to clear his name. No matter how much he said, it was better to verify his innocence. Chu Luyue pondered for a moment, then nodded. Good. Anyway, she had a clear conscience. What was there to be afraid of? Rong Xiu looked at her. Seeing her determined expression, his thin lips moved slightly, but he did not say anything in the end. Yao Bin stood up, walked to the center, and said to Chu Luyue. Please come forward. Chu Luyue walked over. The two of them stood still, separated by 10 steps. Yao Bin's expression was much more serious. He raised his hand, then closed his eyes. The thumb ring flew out from his hand, then headed straight for Chu Liyue. Soon, it stopped above Chu Liyue's head. Buzz! A roar sounded. Purple light instantly poured down like a waterfall, surrounding Chu Liyue. Chu Liyue's body was completely surrounded by that purple light curtain. In an instant, it was as if countless sharp and cold blades were scraping her body. Chu Liyue frowned slightly. But fortunately, the pain was not too intense, so she endured it. Everyone held their breaths and waited. Yao Bin didn't even blink as he stared at the screen. The passage of time seemed to be extraordinarily long. Suddenly, an unusual fluctuation came from Chu Liyue's universe ring. Whoosh! The purple jade thumb ring spun quickly, and the surrounding light curtain formed a whirlpool around Chu Liyue like water, emitting a sharp cry. Yao Bin's expression turned serious. There was indeed something fishy. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Some could no longer hold back and leaned forward, afraid that they would miss something. They would not know if they did not investigate, but once they did, there was really something wrong with Chu Yu. Elder Bo Yen and the others looked at each other and saw the shock and astonishment in each other's eyes. Didn't Chu Yu say that he had nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave? Now, Chu Liyue looked down. A white light suddenly flashed in her mind. Right. How could she forget about the wooden tablet? Some time ago, she had come to Fangzhou City with Luo Yanming and Zhuxing to relax. At that time, she had met a middle-aged man at a street stall in the city. That man was the soul that had been chasing her relentlessly. It was also that time that she had obtained a wooden tablet from him. That was the wooden tablet of the Black Demon Cave. The totem of the Black Demon Cave was clearly engraved on it. After repelling the soul, she had wanted to destroy the wooden tablet, but after thinking about it again and again, she put it aside for the time being. She did not expect that it would cause her such trouble today. Whoosh! The whistling sound was even sharper. It was as if an invisible force was desperately drilling into the Qian Kun ring in an attempt to force the wooden tablet out. However, even after a long while, the interspatial ring showed no signs of being broken. Yao Bin frowned. How could the defensive power of this universe ring be so strong? Chu Liyue also suddenly thought of this question, and her heart skipped a beat. This was Rong Xiu's universe ring. It was also a symbol of the saint's identity. It was normal for it to be able to resist Yao Bin's power, but in the eyes of others, mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1455. Anyone with a brain would have guessed that there was something wrong with the interspatial ring. Chu Liyue's mind raced. Ever since she left the Yuntian Tower, she had disguised the interspatial ring whenever she went out. From the outside, it looked just like an ordinary gray interspatial ring. As long as one did not check it carefully, no one would think that the most noble ring of the Yuntian Tower was on her finger. But now, the interspatial ring easily intercepted Yao Bin's power. At this time, Yao Bin also noticed that something was wrong. He looked at Chu Liyue with eyes full of suspicion. The interspatial ring on Chu Yu's finger seemed to be unusual. He was slightly angry. He suddenly raised his hand and threw out a divine power. The divine power quickly poured into the purple jade ring. In an instant, its momentum soared. The wind whistled. Chu Liyue stood in the center of the vortex, her clothes fluttering. She almost felt that her body was about to be strangled by the violent power. She made a prompt decision. Paw! A slight sound came out. She calmly removed the power from the interspatial ring and released the wooden tablet at the same time. Whoosh! Everyone only saw something suddenly fly out. Chu Liyue staggered and quietly escaped from the vortex. At the same time, she resealed the interspatial ring. There were too many things hidden in it that could not be shown publicly. Yao Bin's figure flashed forward swiftly, and he held the wooden token tightly in his hand. Then, he waved his wrist and took back the purple jade ring. The oppressive power disappeared, and Chu Luiyue finally breathed a sigh of relief. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. In the eyes of the onlookers, that thing could not withstand the pressure of the purple jade ring and was forced out. Didn't they see that Chu Yu's face was a little pale? However, no one had any other doubts. Except for Yao Bin. He glanced at Chu Luiyue suspiciously. In that instant, his intuition shouldn't be wrong. The ring on Chu Yu's finger was not ordinary. But it indeed only happened in an instant. Looking at Chu Yu now, it didn't seem like it. Could it be that he was wrong? A trace of uncertainty appeared in Yao Bin's heart. "Princess Yao, what are you holding in your hand?" A question interrupted Yao Bin's thoughts. He calmed down and planned to suppress these things first and talk about it later. The most important thing now was the Black Demon Cave. He glanced at the item in his hand, his expression suddenly became cold. Although he had guessed what it was before, when he saw the totem on the wooden tablet that he hated so deeply, his heart was still filled with endless resentment and anger. He clutched the wooden sign tightly and suddenly looked at Chu Luiyue. "Chu Yu. This is the wooden tablet of the Black Demon Cave. And its level is quite high. If you really have nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave, why would you have such a thing on you?" As soon as he said that, the crowd. Black Demon Cave's wooden tablet. That was not something an ordinary person. Wouldn't this confirm his previous suspicions towards Chu Yu? Everyone's it's. This wooden tablet of the Black Demon Cave, it seems that only their own people have it, right? That's right. A few years ago, we fought with the Black Demon Cave and saw their people take out this wooden tablet with our own eyes. This wooden tablet is carved from sea buckthorn wood, and the totem of the Black Demon Cave is engraved in the middle. I heard that every totem was drawn with their own blood as a guide, and no one else can copy it. Moreover, they value this wooden tablet very much. Generally speaking, they would never let it fall into the hands of others. The crowd discussed fervently, clearly suspecting Chu Luiyue. It was as if they were certain that Chu Luiyue was in cahoots with the Black Demon Cave. Elder Bo Yan and the others were also stunned for a moment. Black Demon Cave's wooden tablet. How could that kid have such a thing on him? Elder Bo Yan was stunned for a moment, and then looked at Rongxiu. The two of them had a close relationship. Did Rongxiu know about this? Unfortunately, Rongxiu's face was as calm and indifferent as ever, and no clues could be seen. As if sensing Elder Bo Yan's gaze, Rongxiu glanced sideways, and the corners of his lips curled up imperceptibly, giving Elder Bo Yan a reassuring look. Elder Bo Yan heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Rongxiu knew what was going on. He was relieved. At first, he did not believe that Chu Yu had anything to do with the Black Demon Cave. Who did not know that Rongxiu and the Black Demon Cave were enemies? If Chu Yu really had something to do with the Black Demon Cave, why would Rongxiu protect him like this? Speaking of which, Rongxiu was part of the reason why the Black Demon Cave had suddenly stopped in the past few years. However, not many people knew about this, so when the wooden tablet appeared, everyone was full of doubts about Chu Yu. Chu Luiyue coughed a few times. Without the pressure of the external force, her complexion looked better. However, her lips were still slightly pale, and it was not difficult to tell what kind of pain she had just experienced. Chu Luiyue looked at the wooden tablet and smiled helplessly. "So this is what you're talking about," she rubbed her eyebrows. "Have you forgotten? I said just now that I've fought with their people. This wooden tablet was obtained at that time." Yao Bin did not believe it. "So simple." "I don't think so. Everyone in the Black Demon sect has a wooden tablet like this. In other words, this is a symbol of their status. The stronger they are, the higher their level, the more importance they attach to the wooden tablet. The one in my hand must be of famous existence in the Black Demon sect. To be more direct, it must be a high god expert at the very least. Such a person, as long as they still have a breath left, would never let this wooden tablet fall into the hands of others, especially their enemies. You said that you obtained this thing at that time. Doesn't this mean that you killed a high god expert of the other party? Yao Bin twitched the corner of his mouth, and the lines on his thin face were cold and hard. Who would believe this? There was dead silence. It was not difficult to deduce that Chiyu should have this wooden tablet before he entered the northern region of the Eldritch Desolation. After he returned, he had been staying in Lingxiao College and had no chance to obtain this thing. When he entered the northern region of the Eldritch Desolation, he seemed to be a rank 8 warrior. With such strength, killing a high god expert, it was not a fool's dream. However, in the face of Yao Bin's questioning, Chu Liuyue's face did not show the slightest bit of panic. She laughed, and her tone was still calm. Princess Yao seems to have forgotten one thing. I just said that the person who fought with me has already left the Black Demon sect. So this thing should not be that important to him, right? Yao Bin was stunned, and the rest of his words were stuck in his throat. Yes, Chuyu did say that. But at that time, he did not care. If that person was really no longer a member of the Black Demon sect, this wooden tablet would naturally become a piece of trash, not worth mentioning. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1456. Yao Bin stared at Chu Luyue, as if he wanted to see through all her thoughts. At present, there were two possibilities. Firstly, Chu had long known the importance of this wooden tablet to the people of the Black Demon sect, so he deliberately said those words to excuse himself. Secondly, Chu did not know anything about this. He just happened to meet someone who had left the Black Demon sect and obtained this wooden tablet by chance. But for a moment, he was unable to determine what was going on. Based on your words alone, we can't believe your words. Do you have any evidence? Or was there someone else who was fighting alongside you? Chu Luyue said honestly, at that time, there was only him and me. No one else was present. Many people looked at each other. Alone? That was even more absurd. If someone helped, it wasn't impossible for Chu Yu to win this battle. But now, even he admitted that he was the only one. It was really hard to believe. Yao Bin's expression turned even colder as he gripped the wooden tablet tightly. If that's the case, I'm afraid we have to investigate thoroughly. Wait. Chu Luyue opened her mouth and interrupted him. The corners of her lips curled up slightly as she smiled softly. Although I was fighting alone at that time, I have a witness for this matter. Witness? Including Yao Bin, everyone present was stunned. It was clearly a one-on-one battle. How could there be a witness? Just as everyone was filled with doubts, Chu Luyue turned around and waved at Luo Yanming and Zhusheng, who were standing behind Elder Wenxi. Yanming, Zhusheng, please help me testify. The two people who were suddenly called out were at a loss. Zhusheng pointed directly at himself and asked in disbelief, "What? Us? Why didn't he know that this matter had anything to do with them?" Luo Yanming stared at the wooden tablet and suddenly thought of something. He made up his mind and walked forward. "Hey, wait for me." Seeing him walk forward, Zhusheng hurriedly chased after him. No matter what, Chu Yu needed their help, so they had to help. They quickly stood beside Chu Luyue. Countless gazes fell on the two of them, causing them to involuntarily become nervous. Although the two of them were disciples of aristocratic families and could be considered to be experienced and knowledgeable, However, they had never experienced such a big scene where all the big shots of the divine ruins were staring at them. Those gazes seemed to materialize as they landed on their bodies, causing their bodies to stiffen. Even the carefree and carefree Zhuosheng had become much more obedient. Luo Yanming's heart was beating a little fast, and her hands in her sleeves were clenched tightly. He instinctively glanced at Chu Luyue, but he saw that the young man beside her had a calm expression, a smile on his lips, and was at ease. As if he wasn't affected by the invisible pressure at all. This brat's attitude was too good, Luo Yanming in his heart. In such a situation, he too was to be in such a situation. But I heard that he was the one who suggested this meeting. Someone who could do such a thing naturally had a lot of guts. We can testify for Chu Yu. Luo Yanming took a deep breath and said word by word. He raised his hand and pointed at the wooden token in Yao Bin's hand. We just happened to be with him on the day he obtained the wooden tablet. We also know exactly how he obtained it. In short, what he said just now was true. Zhuosheng finally reacted and hurriedly nodded. That's right. We can indeed testify. This wooden token was bought by him from a peddler when we were strolling around Fangzhou City. He even cut the price by half. The corner of Yao Bin's eyes twitched. Chu Luyue was both grateful and amused. Under such circumstances, anyone who stood up for her was taking a huge risk. But they still did it. Seeing that everyone seemed to be at a loss, Luo Yanming immediately recounted what happened that day. Of course, he and Zhuosheng did not participate in the part where Chu Luyue chased out of the city and fought, so they skipped over it. But overall, it did indeed support Chu Luyue's previous statement. Zhuosheng, who was at the side, added a few words from time to time. That's what happened. Luo Yanming let out a long sigh. If you don't believe me, there were a few elders and students who went with us to look for Chu Yu that day. They can also testify. It was all true that happened, so it was naturally more convincing. Silence reigned in the field. After a while, Yao Bin frowned and looked at Chu Luyue. So, that day, that person deliberately used this wooden token to lure you out of the city, and you fought? Chu Luyue nodded. To be honest, I had a grudge with that person before, and I also knew that he was from the Black Demon Cave, so when I saw his wooden token, I chased after him without hesitation. However, after the fight, I found out that he had already left the Black Demon Cave. Actually, when you said that I killed him, it was not accurate. Because he was only a soul, and did not have a physical body. Just based on what I know, he had already possessed no less than 2 people. That day, I only forced him to retreat, and did not kill him completely. It was also because of this that I kept that wooden token, thinking that I would have the chance to investigate it in the future. Yao Bin's expression changed slightly. This series of explanations was really flawless. He pondered for a long time. In that case, I still have one last question. If you can answer it, I will believe what you said today, and completely dispel all my doubts about you. Chu Luyue nodded. Please. Yao Bin stared at her with a heavy gaze. If that person was only left with a soul, his strength would definitely be reduced, but even so, he could possess someone, so he was at least at the level of a demigod. According to what you said, at that time, you should only be a rank 8 warrior, right? How did you win? Even though the situation was somewhat different from what they had expected at the beginning, there was still a huge gap between a rank 8 warrior and a demigod. It was like a natural chasm of combat power, and it was simply impossible for others to catch up. Chu Yu fought alone and won. How did he do it? In fact, this was the question that everyone present was curious about. During this period of time, Chu Yu's name had spread throughout the divine ruins. Among them, there were many guesses about his talent and strength. One thing was certain, and that was that Chu Yu was indeed a genius. Moreover, he seemed to be quite talented in Xian Master and Celestial Physician. However, a genius was a genius, but he might not be a powerhouse. That battle was truly inconceivable. Hearing this, Chu Liuyue's lips curled up, and she smiled. Her eyes were curved, and her eyes were like stars. Because of this smile, his face, which could only be considered delicate and pretty, became lively. She said very seriously and sincerely. Because I have a trump card. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1457. Everyone. What kind of answer was that? They had seen arrogant people, but they had never seen such arrogant people. Yao Bin couldn't help but chuckle with some disapproval. Trump card. Then I wonder what kind of trump card could allow a rank 8 warrior to defeat a demigod. Since ancient times, such things were very rare. This Chu Yu, I really don't know what he was thinking, to actually give such an answer. Even if he had a trump card, in the case of an extremely tyrannical opponent, the weak wouldn't even have a chance to make a move. What's more winning? Chu Liyue crossed his arms and supported his chin with one hand, showing a troubled expression. Trump card, at that time, she had taken out Scarlet Heaven's sword and directly killed the other party. If she said it, everyone would definitely guess that it was a venerable artifact. At that time, it might cause some trouble again, but if she didn't say it, it was obvious that the situation in front of her was unsolvable. Chu Liyue's hesitant look, in the eyes of everyone, was undoubtedly guilty. What trump card? I think it's just an excuse he made up. That's right, a rank 8 warrior fighting a demigod, isn't this courting death? It's already very difficult to escape alive, and he actually said that he won. He really doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. I think either the origin of this wooden token is wrong, or he used other methods. Actually, no one has seen those people from the Black Demon Cave. Who knows if they really started fighting, or all kinds of discussions drilled into their ears. Shuixing was anxious and couldn't help but shout, what we said just now is all true. When Chu Yu came back that day, he was even injured. Being injured doesn't mean anything. Yao Bin looked at Shuixing coldly, and the tyrannical pressure suddenly pressed down on Shuixing's chest, making him unable to speak. His face quickly flushed red. Yao Bin. Elder Bo Yen suddenly shouted in a low voice. An invisible force flew out. Bang! A slight collision sound rang out. Shuixing immediately felt the pressure on his body dissipate. He was finally able to relax and gasped for breath. However, his heart was still beating crazily and couldn't calm down for a long time. He knew that as long as the other party wanted to, he could take his life at any time. If not for Elder Bo Yan's help, Yao Bin, don't go too far. Elder Bo Yan's face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost, the coldness was threatening. Shuixing was only standing here as a witness. What right did Yao Bin have to make a move? The people of his Spirit Firmament Academy were watching right here. Yao Bin also felt that he had lost his composure. He frowned and his tone softened a lot. I just think he's a little noisy. After all, I asked Chu Yu. This old man knows that Purple Light County and Black Demon Cave are like fire and water, so it is normal for Princess Yao to lose her composure. However, everyone was here today to solve the problem, not to create a problem. Princess Yao, please pay more attention in the future. Lingxiao College and Ziguang County did not have any grudges, and Yao Bin was not a bad person. Since the other party had lowered his stance, Elder Bo Yan did not intend to be too aggressive. Just a little bit of vigilance was enough. Elder Bo Yen raised his chin at Luo Yenming and Zhuosheng. You two, come back. The two of them looked at Chu Luyue. Chu Luyue knew that they were worried about her, and her heart warmed. Don't worry, I'm fine. Only then did the two of them retreat. Princess Yao. Chu Luyue looked at Yao Bin. If we continue to argue, no matter how much we say, no one will believe us completely. Why don't we change the method and end this quickly? Yao Bin frowned. What do you want to do? Chu Luyue's lips curled up slightly as she looked around. Everyone should be thinking the same thing as Princess Yao, that I'm just lying. Since that's the case, why don't we have a match? Those who have come here today are all famous experts of the Divine Ruins world. Why don't everyone choose a demigod expert to fight with me? Let's see if I, Chu Yu, can win this match. After a short silence, the crowd was in an uproar. Did this Chu Yu know what he was saying? Fighting a demigod expert in front of everyone. Wasn't he looking for trouble for himself? Chu Luyue had already expected their reaction, so she didn't care. She raised her chin slightly, and her smile deepened. In order to completely recreate the situation that day, I will also suppress my strength to the peak of the 8th stage. This way, after the battle, these people wouldn't have the chance to nitpick even if they wanted to. Yao Bin looked at Chu Luyue in shock. Crazy. Really crazy. If Chu Yu fought with his current strength, perhaps he wouldn't lose so miserably. But he still wanted to suppress his strength to the 8th stage. He must be tired of living. Elder Bo Yen was a little anxious and wanted to object. However, before he could say anything, a low and pleasant voice suddenly sounded in his ear. Elder, let her do as she pleases. Elder Bo Yen turned his head in surprise. Rongxiu, you. Rongxiu's thin lips curled up slightly, revealing an extremely faint smile. Since she dares to say so, she must be prepared. He knew her too well. She wasn't someone who liked to be taken advantage of. After being bullied to such an extent, how could she let it go just like that? Even if the other party wanted to stop now, she wouldn't agree. Hearing this, Elder Bo Yan's heart calmed down a little. After thinking about it again and again, he could only nod. Forget it. If Chu Yu really couldn't beat the other party, it wouldn't be too late for him to make a move then. After all, he was from Lingxiao College, and no one could bully him. Since Chu Luyue took the initiative to say so, how could the others not agree? Yao Bin took a deep breath. Good. Bold. This kind of courage wasn't something an ordinary person could have. He just didn't know if this Chu Yu was a newborn calf that wasn't afraid of tigers, or did he really have a trump card? Chu Luyue smiled lightly and nodded. Thank you for the compliment. Then, who do you want to invite? Everyone looked around. There were many exalted gods here, but not many demigods. A slightly hoarse voice suddenly sounded. I'll do it. Bailey Jun turned his head in surprise. Lil Lu, you, her body hadn't completely recovered yet. Jiang Jiwon's heart was very firm. There weren't many opportunities to kill Chu Yu in public like this. Chu Luyue looked at the young man who stood out and narrowed her eyes dangerously. After a moment, she smiled brightly. Sure. You're welcome. Digression. Today's 4th update, tomorrow's 6th update. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1458. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Jiang Ziyuan, who had carefully disguised herself, with different expressions. From the outside, she looked like an ordinary young man in all aspects. And her aura was indeed that of a demigod. Originally, everyone was still a little hesitant about the candidate, but now that someone had stepped forward, they were relieved. Moreover, this person was brought here by Bailey June, so everyone had to give him some face. In some people's eyes, perhaps Bailey Chun was trying to support the young man he had taken a fancy to. After all, if she could show off in front of so many big shots in the world of God, she would definitely become famous. No one objected, so the matter was settled. Jiang Ji-won took a deep breath and walked forward. When she passed by Bailey June did not forget to remind her in a low voice. Xiao Lu, be careful. Jiang Ji-won smiled and nodded. Thank you, Patriarch. As she spoke, she continued to walk forward and to the center of the field, facing Chu Luiyue. Yaobin glanced at the two of them. He did not know this person called Xiao Lu, but if she was valued so much by Bailey June, she must be quite capable. He thought for a moment and said, "This match is very important. I hope that both of you can do your best and don't have any concerns. As long as it doesn't hurt your life, everything else is up to you." Many people were shocked. They all knew that this would be a fierce battle. Bailey June stared at the field, his old face expressionless. Only that pair of slightly turbid but still shrewd eyes revealed that he was not as unconcerned as he appeared to be. In fact, he had his own plans when he agreed to Jiang Ji-won's request. Jiang Ji-won had been expelled from Lingxiao College and her reputation was almost ruined. In the world of God, she could not even raise her head. If she could win this match beautifully, everyone present would definitely look at her in a different light. At that time, it would be logical to reveal Jiang Ji-won's identity. At that time, Elder Bo Yen and the others would realize how much of a pity it was for them to give up on Jiang Ji-won. Choosing to support Chu Yu with all their might was a huge mistake. Bailey June's plan was perfect and he directly ignored this match. Jiang Ji-won was facing the opponent's rank 8 warrior with the strength of a demigod. This was an extremely unfair competition to begin with. It was normal for Jiang Ji-won to win. But if he lost, he would have nothing left. Chu Luiyue looked at the young man in front of him and raised his eyebrows slightly. "May I know this brother's name?" Jiang Ji-won said calmly, "I'm only here to exchange blows with you. You don't need to know my name." Her identity was fake to begin with. It was fine if she said a vague name, but the more details she said, the easier it would be for people to find out. Rong Xiu was still here. If he wanted to investigate, she didn't think she could really avoid it. Chu Luiyue shrugged and chuckled. "Don't misunderstand, I just feel that you're a little similar to someone I know." Jiang Ji-won's heart skipped a beat, and a trace of impatience appeared on his face. "Time is of the essence, let's end this quickly." Chu Luiyue smiled and agreed. "Okay." Before she finished speaking, Jiang Ji-won had already started to move. His feet were slightly crossed, his knees were half lowered, and the force around him was rapidly gathering. His aura was surging. Chu Luiyue narrowed his eyes. This aura, it was a little different from what she had expected. Every cultivator's aura was unique. Once they made a move, those who were familiar with them would definitely be able to guess it. She originally thought, seeing Chu Luiyue's expression, Jiang Ji-won sneered in his heart. Since she had decided to come, of course, she had to be fully prepared. Before coming, Bailey June had already used the Yuan instrument to conceal and change her aura. Even if she used the force and attacked, she didn't have to worry about being detected. Moreover, with the help of the Yuan instrument, her combat strength was much stronger than before. In short, today's competition, she was definitely going to win. A jade-green origin power gushed out from her palm and quickly gathered in front of her to form a giant wheel. Then, with a flick of her other hand, a bright bead flew out. Bang! A crisp sound was heard. The bright white pearl the size of a longan collided with the center of the turquoise wheel. The sound was extremely crisp and clear, like jade hitting stone. In the next moment, the pearl was like a drop of ink falling into water, quickly spreading out. Soon, the brilliant ball of light expanded rapidly, almost occupying half of the turquoise wheel, forming a small wheel. The turquoise and bright white intertwined, and it was especially eye-catching. It was emitting a powerful aura. When everyone saw this, they were all slightly shocked. 2 types of divine power. This person called Little Lou is actually so powerful. No way. A cultivator can only have 1 type of divine power in his body. Did he take out a bead and throw it in just now? That bright white divine power must have been stored in it in advance, right? As long as it is activated, the divine power in it can be released for one's own use. This divine pearl is very convenient to use, but the refining process is very complicated. Many people may not be able to refine a divine pearl that belongs to them even if they break through to the immortal realm. I don't know where Little Lou got it from. Are you stupid? Bailey June values it so much. What is this divine pearl? Hey, now that you mention it, Bailey June's divine power seems to be bright white. Could this divine pearl be? Of course, this was Bailey June's divine pearl. This time, he had brought Jiang Ji1 here. No matter how he thought about it, he felt that it was not safe. Just in case, he gave Jiang Ji1 a lot of good things to protect herself. This divine pearl was not worth mentioning in comparison. But in the eyes of others, this was a bit too much. This is not fair. Whispers of discussion could be heard from the crowd. What level is Bailey June at? The divine pearl that he refined with his own divine power is much more powerful than an ordinary immortal realm expert. That Little Lou took out this thing the moment he attacked. Isn't he bullying others? That's right. It was originally a demigod against a rank 8 warrior, and now he even used external force. Is he afraid that he can't beat him? Actually, this matter is not as serious as you say. This is a competition in itself. No one said that it can't be like this, right? That's true, but I want to save face. It's not enough to fight a rank 8 warrior with the strength of a demigod, and I still want to take advantage of him. Although everyone present was here to find trouble with Chu Luiyue, they were still of noble status. High and mighty people cared about their reputation the most. It could be explained that they joined forces to interrogate a teenager to find out the truth. But what about the competition in front of them? Wasn't this bullying? The soft voices entered her ears, causing Jiang Ji1 to feel a little irritated. She steeled her heart and urged the power in her body faster. Clear sky, scorching sun wheel. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1459. The 2 overlapping wheels, one green and one white, suddenly began to rotate slowly in opposite directions. The middle part of the wheel made a click sound. If one listened carefully, it actually sounded like gears biting together. They were interlocked and very exquisite. As the 2 wheels intertwined and rotated, it also produced an astonishing pressure. The surrounding energy of heaven and earth began to quickly converge towards this side. One in front and one behind, it actually formed 2 energy vortexes. Hiss, to be able to fuse these 2 divine powers so perfectly, it's rare. It seems that this young man is not completely useless. To be able to catch the eye of Bailey June, it's naturally not ordinary. But I think there seems to be a gap between these 2 divine powers. It can't be considered a perfect match. This person looks to be in his 20s. If he's a demigod expert, his talent isn't considered top-notch. As for Chu Yu, he seems to be only 17, right? He's already a stage 9 warrior. But now that the 2 of them are fighting, isn't it obvious who has the advantage? This match had nothing to do with their talent, it was only related to their current combat power. Jiang Ji-won felt like there was a ball of fire in her heart that was constantly surging, as if it would explode from her chest in the next moment. She had heard enough of such words. So what if his talent was better? Before he grew into a true expert, he was just a piece of trash. Today, she would take revenge for both old and new grudges. Go! Jiang Ji-won roared. The huge will immediately crushed towards Chu Luiyue. Its speed wasn't fast, and it was very uniform and stable. It seemed to be too leisurely. However, wherever the wheel passed, the void collapsed, and a large area of black holes appeared. One could see how powerful it was. Before it arrived in front of her, a gust of wind had already swept over. Chu Luiyue's clothes and hair fluttered in the wind. She narrowed her eyes slightly. The closer she got, the more she could feel the astonishing power between the two intertwining wheels. Once she was dragged into it, she was afraid that not even a complete corpse would be left. It was just a match to determine the winner. Why did he use such a killing move at the beginning? This young man who was specially brought by Bailey June seemed to have a deep hostility towards her, and even a killing intent. Whoosh! Chu Luiyue flicked his wrist, and a dazzling blue-gold light flashed past. Everyone only saw a blur in front of their eyes before they saw a sword appear in Chu Luiyue's hand. The blue-gold light came from the scabbard. Chu Luiyue held the scabbard with one hand and raised his other hand, slowly grasping the slender and cold sword hilt. The surrounding power flowed like a river, causing the tassels at the end of the curl to sway gently. Chu Luiyue's expression gradually darkened as he held his breath. His black jade-like eyes, which seemed to have sunk into a deep pool, gradually glowed with a piercingly cold light. An indistinct killing intent silently surged like the fog in the middle of the night. Unknowingly, everything was surrounded. There seemed to be an invisible barrier around her, isolating her from the outside world. It was as if no matter what happened outside, it would not affect her at all. Even at this moment, he was still calm and composed. Some people secretly exchanged glances. This Chu Yu, it seems, that he's not that simple. Jiang Ji-won met that pair of cold eyes, and in an instant, her entire body turned cold. An indescribable fear suddenly rose from the bottom of her heart. She clenched her teeth and tried her best to calm herself down and suppress her restless heartbeat. What was there to be afraid of? The strength of a rank 8 warrior, how strong could he be? Right now, she was 2 whole ranks higher than the other party. He was just putting on an act. Thinking of this, Jiang Ji-won's mood finally calmed down a little. Clang! Chu Luiyue drew his sword. A streak of rainbow-colored light streaked across the sky. That's, some sharp-eyed people's expressions changed, and they immediately sat up straight. Their eyes were fixed on the sword. Those present were all strong people of the current era. What good things had they not seen before? Their eyesight was very sharp. The moment Chu Luiyue took out the Scarlet Heaven sword, someone immediately sensed that something was wrong. This is the divine weapon that the Golden Wings sect and Lingxiao College fought over in the Blue Feather Abyss. That's it. Previously in the northern region of the Primitive Desolation, Chu also used this sword to split open the door of the mysterious space. However, the aura of the sword at that time didn't seem to be so shocking. But this is indeed the same sword. Moreover, didn't Jean D suspect that it was actually a venerable divine weapon? Such an aura, such a pressure, how could a king divine weapon possess it? In fact, although everyone had heard of this news, there were not many who really took it to heart. Because it had been too long since a venerable divine weapon appeared in the Divine Ruins world. Moreover, they actually knew the ins and outs of this divine weapon. At that time, the Golden Wings sect and Lingxiao College were fighting over it. In the end, for some reason, Jean Lei died, and Chuyu became the owner of that divine weapon by accident. If it was really a venerable divine weapon, would Lingxiao College be willing to give it up? But what they didn't expect was that Lingxiao College was really willing to give it up. Moreover, because of the mediation of Rong Xiao and the others, the elders didn't even pursue Chu Luyue. They just let her take away a venerable divine weapon. After all, Lingxiao College was not the same as these aristocratic families. Therefore, at this moment, when they saw the red cloud sword in Chu Luyue's hand, they only realized in hindsight and were full of shock. I've already said it. Jean Di stared at the red cloud sword with bloodshot eyes. Although Chu Luyue had used the red cloud sword in public before, she just waved it casually and didn't display its true power. In addition, those people's attention was elsewhere at that time, so they didn't pay much attention to it. It was not until now that Chu Luyue was about to officially take action that they realized that they had made such a big mistake. But now, it was too late for regrets. After all, they couldn't openly snatch something from Lingxiao College's student in their territory, right? However, there were still some people who were quick-witted. Jiang Jiwon also saw it and couldn't help but feel jealous. The things that Bailey June gave her were not bad, and she was very satisfied at the beginning. But compared to a venerable divine weapon, it was nothing. This Chu Yu's background was unclear, and he was arrogant and undisciplined, which was very annoying. She really didn't know what the college and Rongxiu saw in him. Suddenly, Chu Luyue threw the scabbard into the air. A brilliant ray of light streaked across the air. In the next moment, Chu Luyue held the sword with both hands and tiptoed. Her figure instantly flew out. She was very agile. She soared into the air. She raised the sword above her head. Whoosh! The surrounding energy of heaven and earth suddenly gathered toward the red cloud sword in a frenzy. In an instant, the world lost its color. It was a shock. Even the energy that was surging toward the wheel of the blue sky scorching sun was suddenly blocked by an invisible pressure. It changed direction and rushed into the red cloud sword at an even faster speed. What? Jiang Jiwon's heart skipped a beat. How could a venerable divine weapon be so domineering? Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.